the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
This is the Big O Show.
There's many ways to support our program, from subscribing and liking the show to visiting our terrific sponsors. Another way is using Cash App. If you would like to donate to the show and help us grow, download Cash App and search Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. We appreciate your support as we continue to build the best sports show on the planet for South Florida sports fans. Support the Big O Show by using Cash App and donate to Cash Big O Show. Thank you for your incredibly loyal support.
This is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available, from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome aboard. Time to rock and roll on a Thursday. You're almost there to the end of the week. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? It's nice. We are blessed. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Give us light. They give us light. Give us sound. Guitar. Let there be rock. All right, anyway, welcome aboard. It is time to have another fun-filled day here on the program. Got a couple guests for you today also. The ladies are stepping forward today. Ruthie Polinski from NBC6 will stop by at 10:30. And then at noon, we will talk to Michelle Kaufman, who covered last night's Inter-Miami tie. That draw against Orlando. They were unbeaten in their last three matches. It's actually pretty good, man. You know what I mean? It's not a very good team, but they're at least, they're not losing and they're picking up some points, which is nice to see overall. It's better than losing, I got to tell you, man. It's all good. Anyway, so we are ready to rock and roll. We'll be on till about 1 o'clock, I would imagine. Couple guests, got a bunch of things that I want to talk about today. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about with the Dolphins today. Tomorrow, we'll have Omar Kelly like we always do. Ira Winderman will stop by tomorrow. Manny Navarro will stop by tomorrow. So we'll get our Dolphins, Canes, and Heat reports tomorrow. So all locked in. We should have I had a meeting yesterday. We should have another addition to the family next week. And I know Steve is saying Kyle Krabs is cheating on us. He was with Joe and Zach. And no, actually, he's not cheating. Kyle made a mistake. We're all human beings. Kyle agreed to a deal with us, but he had no idea that the company he works for has a national commitment to Odyssey. And so he could not make an individual agreement. And so they forced him to break our agreement. And I understand that's fine. It's all well and good. We are going to have Kyle on, but we're not going to have him on every week and all, because I'm not going to bother somebody every week if they're not part of our show. But we will have him on. And obviously I love Kyle. He does an exceptional job breaking things down. So no, there was no, Kyle's good, good people, and we're all human beings, man. I'm far from perfect, and the young man made a deal with us, but wasn't really wasn't allowed to make those kind of deals. And so it is what it is, man. Listen, I've worked in the corporate world all my life, pretty much. I'm really blessed right now that we're able to do this on our own now, and obviously the support that we're getting from all of you out there has been just absolutely phenomenal. So we thank you for that. So we'll get Kyle on maybe next week. We'll get Kyle on. So that way we got a couple of weeks of camp. He was here for a couple of days. I know that because I was going to I was talking with him. What was it? 2 days ago, actually. I was talking to him while he was here in town, and we were going back and forth because of this whole mess that he did not realize he created throughout all of this, but that's fine. Things happen, man. Life happens. What if you've noticed with me, anything that happens with me, I'm going to just find a way to move on and overcome. That's it. I'm not the guy that points fingers. I'm not the guy that sits in the corner and say, "Oh, woe is me." I'm just not that guy. You know what I mean? I've never been that guy. I never will be that guy. I'm the guy that just marches on and forward, and I don't look back. I can look back and reminisce or whatever, but I'm not going to look back and use it as a crutch for anything that affects me moving forward. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. You move forward, and that's, now we have obviously Alan Poupart, part of the family now. So exclusively on this show, Alan Poupart from SI is on twice a week, exclusively for this show and nowhere else in South Florida. Omar Kelly is on twice a week, exclusively for this show, and on nowhere else is Manny Navarro covering the Canes. Exclusively and nowhere else is Ira Winderman. Exclusively and nowhere else is Clay Ferraro. So, and we're not done. We're going to add more. We're going to continue to expand this whole thing and round everything out and get it all done. So, it's all good. You you can't win them all, as they say, but we are winning here as it is. So appreciate all of you out there. We got folks already locked up. Remember to smash the hell out of that like button, okay? Smash it. We need that. And, of course, subscribe to the program. Share the link. Send a friend the podcast link. Send a friend the YouTube link. Maybe they don't know about us. They don't know that, the most hardcore sports talk show for South Florida sports that they can find anywhere in the world is right here every single day, starting off at 10 a.m. Nobody does this for 3 hours a day. You know what I mean? So spread the word, man. That's the most important thing that you'll do. Of course, visit our sponsors. You can also contribute through Cash App and Venmo, Cash Big O Show. So there's many ways to support our show. Isaias is number 1 today. He beat out Steve Chapman, 843 to 852. Wow. Steve Chapman was unseated as the champ. Chapman, the champ, was unseated today from Isaias. He was first in. Chapman was number 2. Uber Beaner is in, saying almost Friday, baby. He's right about that. NorCal is up. Fins up, he says. Chapman is also there with Ian Brooklyn. Ian from Brooklyn, that is. John Santos. Let's see. What is this? Dara Cotton 13. Oh, is this the international black man? Is it really IBM? IBM can send me a text personally because he has my cell phone. So if it is him, that's you, IBM. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for joining us. As always, IBM and I hung out for a Rush concert, the last Rush concert ever in the state of Florida. International black man and myself sharing a beer and going in to enjoy a little Rush concert, which was good. Rosendo is in the house. He says, happy Thursday. Blessings to all. May your day be filled with joy of the Lord. God bless you all. Thank you, Rosendo. Appreciate you. Bromar is in. Rosendo says, keep staying humble, Big O. God will bless you in many ways. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. I don't know, humble or whatever, but I just put my head down, work hard, and move forward. That's just who I am, man. Gus 1388 is in. Tommy in Hialeah. Miami Sports Vibes says, brought my AirPods to work today so I can tune in live at work now instead of always catching it on the podcast. Team Big O. Thank you. Thank you, Miami Sports Vibes. Very nice of you. Steven Gonzalez is in. Daniel Marquez. Greg Sporting the Wood says, oh, if you were a financial advisor, would you buy in on Tua, the second-year guy's stock, who is rising and falling in your opinion? No, Greg, I would not. I would not buy him right now. Do you know why I wouldn't buy him right now? Because I would have loaded up when it was low last year. Because I'm the guy that kept saying, Tua's fine. Tua will be great. Tua will be awesome. Tua will look better this year. Tua will look like his arm is better. Tua will look more athletic. Tua will look more comfortable. Do you know why? Because everybody didn't take into account everything he went through last year. Not everybody. Some of you are on my side, okay? Because those of you that have been following the show for several years, and you've been following this show since the beginning of this whole, rebuild, what did I tell you? Did I ever fluster last year about Tua at all? Did I ever say anything like, oh, his arm and this, that? No, I told you guys what. And maybe Greg Sportingwood, you didn't hear this. But I told everybody last offseason, when the season ended, I told everybody, watch. He's going to have a great offseason because he'll have a real offseason. He'll throw to his guys. He'll play football. He won't be rehabbing a hip. He'll be playing football. He'll build his core up. All of a sudden, when he gets out on the field, people are going to say his arm is stronger. He looks more lively. He looks more comfortable. Well, yeah, dude. They built the offense for him. They designed it for him. They got him quick twitch receivers that they need. He's been able to work on football all offseason. He wasn't rehabbing a hip. People don't realize it was probably all arm last year. He didn't have the core strong. Now he does. He's been working on football. He's banging Ciara all offseason. I mean, that's enough exercise to get any man in shape. You know what I'm saying? So this is where it's just like the stock market. I mean, like the crypto market. We just went through a correction, right? The panic pussies said, oh my God, the market's going to crash. So meanwhile, guys like John Rouse is in the house. I don't know if he's on now. And myself and others like out there that follow crypto like me, didn't we buy Ethereum when it went back down? When it went to 1750, 1800, 1900, did you rebuy it? Because I did. And where's it at now? It's at 2700 now. That's Tua is Ethereum. And Ethereum was floating down in the 1500s like 6 months ago. And people were frustrated, and it shot to 4,000. Then it came back down. And when it came back down, instead of selling out your Ethereum, what you do is you rebuy when it comes back down the stock. So I'm not buying Tua now because the stock is high. I'm already making money on Tua because I bought it low. Get it? So that's where I stand with Tua. I already have millions of stocks in Tua from last year. My stocks are worth a ton more than all these other folks that are now getting on the bandwagon. I mean, that's all that's happening with Tua. Tua's the same player he was last year, except he's healthier now. Tua's the same player he was last year, except he got to work on football this year. Tua's the same player he was last year, except he was a backup last year. Now he's a starter. Now it's his team. Now it's his offense. It's not Fitzpatrick's offense with Fitzpatrick's offensive coordinator. It's just that and International Black Men just gave me a text on my phone. Love you, brother. Anyway, so, to me, I'm not here to buy high. Okay, I buy low. All right, it's what they say in stocks when there's blood on the streets. That's when you're the most aggressive. And the last couple of months, while the crypto market was correcting itself, and I got in a V chain at 7, 8, and 9 cents. I got to buy it at 5 and 6 cents. I don't panic and sell my V chain. No. I reload and add more V chain. Now it's over 9 cents. So all the stuff I bought at 5 and 6 cents, I'm already making money. At the stuff I bought at 5 cents, I'm almost doubled that money. That's because you don't believe the FUD. In crypto, you don't believe the FUD. With Tua, too many people believe the FUD. That's the problem. So actually, Tua and Ethereum are the perfect analogy. So I bought stock in Tua long time ago. And I'm the guy that's going to be making money off my stock with Tua. Okay? But what is it? Pro Football Talk tweeted out, oh, well, there hasn't been enough teams showing interest or in Deshaun Watson, but the Dolphins aren't one of them. Oh, really? So you've been reporting the entire time that the Dolphins were interested in Deshaun Watson. Meanwhile, I was saying, no, they're not. And so now they're saying it. And I'm sure Adam Beasley, our boy, great guy, love Adam Beasley, but he's also completely dead wrong. He's been throwing that narrative around, but it's great clickbait. And for Pro Football Talk and for Adam Beasley, it gets you Dolphin fans all riled up and pissed off, so you got to click it and read it just to make you even more mad. All I need to see is the headline. I don't bother clicking in it anymore because now I know it's full of shit. What can I tell you? It's a burden I have with the Dolphins. I'm usually right. Anyway, plenty of ways to get in on the program, just like Greg Sportin Wood, right there on the YouTube chat board. Of course, you can reach out to us on the Yahoo email at bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. Twitter, Big O Show. And, of course, the other way, Cash App and Venmo is the other way that you can support our show. Cash Big O Show is the address. Cash Big O Show. So there you go. Not a financial advisor, but boy, am I going to be winning big on that Tua stock, just like Ethereum. Anyway, Viventi says Tua special. Just be patient. See, James knows what the hell he's talking about. Vivinetti, way to go, baby. Lee Michael Morrison says, good morning from El Rey de Gringos in Hialeah. Let's go. Steven Gonzalez says, much love. Thank you, sir. I love Tua ever since he got drafted, so I'm on your side, brother. David Norton says, I got a feeling Tua is going to have an incredible season based on what I'm hearing and seeing so far from training camp. He'll be fine, bro. He's going to be one of the more creative running quarterbacks in the backfield. He's going to be the guy that excels when there's chaos. He's going to be crafty back there. His ball placement and accuracy is going to be something that is a thing of beauty to watch. You just got to let the young man get comfortable. And it's just like, all these people freaking out and all this mental masturbation about, oh, well, he's got to get more aggressive and downfield. And we've talked about this before in the program. And, I know, guys, sometimes I hate to repeat myself, but I have to because different people come in and out, and we're adding more new people every day pretty much. And it wasn't that he was afraid to go downfield or anything. I've explained this before. He just wasn't comfortable. He's not comfortable with this is a smart kid. He's not Drew Lock. He's not Jameis Winston. He's not these kind of cats that are going to go out there and just fling it all over the place without any care or responsibility. That's not who he is. He's going to take care of the football. So he wasn't comfortable in the offense. His knowledge of the offense was limited. So he wasn't going to go out of that box and then start taking chances and cost the team a game, turnovers, put him in a bad position. So he'd rather take care of the football. Now you're going to watch him get comfortable in an offense because it's his offense. It's his receivers. And so now he's going to get comfortable and then he'll get more aggressive. Aggressive without knowledge and experience is super dangerous. And he's smart enough to know that. Jameis Winston is not. Drew Lock is not. Some guys just aren't. And Drew Lock, I hear, is having a much better camp now, but he's 3 years in. Got to give the young man some time. You know what I mean? You got to allow them to make mistakes. And, that's a theme that I'm going to have for somebody else too today. And so it's just one of those things where it wasn't that Tua was afraid to go downfield. It wasn't Tua that didn't know how to go downfield or all that kind of. He just wasn't comfortable with the environment. So if he's not comfortable with the environment, he's going to take a more conservative approach because he's not going to hurt his football team. Look, the year that they won 11 games with Chad Pennington, it wasn't because Pennington was this dynamic quarterback. It was because Pennington was incredibly responsible with the football. And he'd make his plays, but he wasn't going to give the ball away. And that's it. It's really simple in the NFL in a way. You got a shot to win almost every game you play in if you don't make stupid mistakes and if you don't turn over the ball. You do those two things, you're in every game. Even if you're not the best team in the world, you'll be in every game. But usually bad teams, they make mistakes. They turn over the ball. And that's what Tua's too smart for that, man. I think that's the thing that instead of people nitpicking and taking everything away from the kid, they had to understand everything was stacked against him, including his injury. And yet he overcame all of that and had a winning record through more touchdowns and interceptions, played well overall, considering all of the limitations around him. Limited offseason, limited because of the injury, limited talent, young offensive line. I mean, not a dominant running game. And he really should have gotten injured last year. Not that I want him injured, but I'm just saying the guy didn't even have enough time a whole year. Even Coach Flo said a week ago, like, he's a different player. He's healthy now, indicating that he knows he wasn't 100% because most of us with a little common sense, he wasn't 100% last year. And yet he went back onto an NFL field. It's just we have a microwave society, ladies and gentlemen. People want instant gratification, and if it doesn't happen, well, then no, you failed me already. That's it. No, I'm giving up on you. That's what happens in this world. Let's see what else we got here. Duck Dog 1104 is in. Crypto J says, "How about XRP, Big O? XRP's really good, dude. It's just this whole legal part with their court case. That's the only reason I stayed away from XRP, because I just don't know what the hell is going to go on. I think the government doesn't have enough on them, and I don't think they actually committed any of those, any type of crime that they should be paying. The SEC should free them already from all of this. Eventually, those of you that invested in XRP, I think it's going to pay off for you. I really do. I just haven't taken the chance, I'll be honest, because of all the legal issues. You know what I mean? I'd rather, instead of investing my money there, I'd rather invest it in Matic. Polygon for me is just as good or better than XRP anyways. So I'd rather, they have no court case going on. They're tied to the Ethereum blockchain. So I've invested more in something like that instead. You know what I mean? So it's not that I got anything against XRP. I just haven't invested it because of the legal issues. But it is definitely the business model, the company itself. I think if you invested in it, I think you're going to end up, profiting from it. So yeah, I have no problem with that. He says, get in now if you haven't already. I would have gotten in it if it was a lot lower. No, I'm not going to get in it, but I'll tell you, good luck to you, because I think you're gonna enjoy some good profits. Troy Ortiz is in. Craig Sebring is in. Says Tua's going to ball out this year and will shut up all the haters. Let's see. Robert Ildago says, I heard that Herbert had a 100-plus passer rating under pressure, which has been done before, but the average is in the 70s. Do you think it was an anomaly or a second coming of Marino? Only saying because let's wait till Herbert has a couple of years and let's find out. Okay, as I've said, Baker Mayfield was terrific his rookie year. Then he took a major step back in year 2, and he played better in year 3. So let's see what happens now when teams have more film on them. And again, Robert, I've already had this conversation. What quality win does he have under his belt? All those stats. What quality win does he have? I want you to go look at his schedule, because we already did that on the show. Go look at it. Tua actually had better wins than he did. I'm just saying, dude. We can fall in love with stats and all this crap, but you got to win games when it matters. And they lost to every big team they played, and they beat Kansas City at the end of the year with Chad Henne at quarterback because everybody was sitting down. They don't have a quality win on their schedule from last year. Go look at it. They beat all the bad teams. They didn't beat good teams. Tua did, actually. Tua had some success and played well in a couple of games that were actually pretty good teams. Let's see. Tua's a lot smarter than a lot of other QBs and seems to have a command of the huddle and knows the playbook. He'll be fine, man. He'll be fine. Marino related to David Hasselhoff. Why? How are they? Were they both on Baywatch too? Tua was elite in high school. Tua was elite in college. No reason to doubt he'll be elite in the NFL. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. That's right, R-Rod. And Duracon 13 says, Big O, that's me, IBM. Nice. Way to go. Love to see IBM. It's great to see you, my brother. Hopefully we'll run into each other next time I go up to Tampa for a show. I'm actually going to Orlando. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go see what concert am I going up to Orlando for? Oh, wow, now I'm forgetting. Who am I gonna go see? Is it Dream Theater? Forgot who it is that's coming now. Now I'm brain farting now, but I do have a concert in Orlando. It's August 30th this month. Look it up for me. Now I know the date now. Tell me what's August 30th in Orlando, and I'm going. I forgot what it is. Or maybe you live in Orlando, and you can tell me somebody may be watching that's in Orlando. Big O, one player I'm rooting for is Noah, who's not having a good camp. What do you think of his chances to still be a good player? Richard, I'm glad you asked about that because I did want to talk about Noah. And again, this is more overreacting. This is a kid that switched from receiver to corner. He doesn't have the natural instincts that come with the position. He's got to kind of develop it, even though he's played receiver and now he's playing corner. He should make a transition eventually. So he's going to have to go through his mistakes. And he's going to have to figure things out. And it's going to take him a little time. He's a little bit more of a project than other people. But because he's also played receiver, he should be able to make the transition to corner, and he should be able to read and react because he's played a similar position, which is receiver in a way, and he knows how receivers think and how they play. So it's just a matter of time before the talent takes over and the instincts become natural for him and the reading and the reacting. But he's going to go through some serious growing pains. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. And I am not going to overreact on the first week of training camp when we haven't even gotten to the preseason. We haven't gotten to the regular season. So I want to give the young man some time here before we start piling on him and making it sound like he's never going to be anything. He hasn't been playing this position his whole life. So Javon Holland is going to make a much easier transition than he is, because this is a cat that is still learning his position, but he is incredibly gifted. So it's going to take a little time to kind of figure everything out. It would be nice for everything to transition right away, but that's just not the case, ladies and gentlemen. It just doesn't always happen that way. And especially with guys that are moving from one position to another, and they will hopefully eventually figure things out. But what I would say with everything that's gone on with this young man, I'd take a page out of the Tua handbook from last year, and I told the haters, I told them, slow your roll. Kid will be fine. You got to give him some time. Hey, Mike Gesicki was lost his first year. He got better. Michael Dieter did not do much the first 2 years, right? So all of a sudden now it looks like he might be figuring it out. He hasn't yet, but he's starting off on a better footing than he has the first 2 years, correct? Not everybody develops right away. X wasn't special his first year either. So let's give some time to some of these young men, and let's give them the proper opportunities to get better. So he's going to make mistakes. He's going to get burned. He's going to get caught reading in the backfield. He's going to get tricked by double moves. He's going to have to go through these experiences in order to get better. And when Patrick Surtain struggled his first year and people wanted him to take over and Terrell Buckley just hung on to the job. I don't know if people remember Terrell Buckley early in his career. Also in his first or second years, he was, he wasn't doing well either. And then he got better as a player. And he was a high pick also. We have to have patience. We have to give these young men some time to actually figure things out. We want everything done right away. We want every transition to happen seamlessly. And that's just not the case. Paul Soliai sucked for 3 years. Not one, not two, not three. He sucked for 3 years. The light started coming on. Well, the light started coming on towards the end of year 3, but year 4 was his breakout year. Year 4 was his breakout year. And I could go on and on and on around the league in the history, and I could tell you about players that just didn't get it right away and then all of a sudden blew up. We were just talking about Darrelle Revis. I think it was yesterday. He sucked his first year also. He got burned a lot his first year. Jet fans were freaking out. I remember taking the calls from Jet fans. Yes, I'm old enough to take those calls from Jets fans in Revis's rookie year. we gotta have some patience, man. You know, a lot of us start new jobs and we're trying to figure it out when we get to our new job and we make mistakes. You know what I mean? It's normal. It's not anything new to have people struggle. All right, let's take a quick break. 30 seconds. Ruthie Polinski from NBC6 joins us next.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
All right, welcome back. Promise the great Ruthie Polinski would be joining us from NBC6. Good morning, Ruthie. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. You know, I apologize. I am not. One of my favorite things about doing talk shows and radio shows is that I don't have to get all dressed up, but you made me go on camera today.
Well, we have changed the way we do things on this show now. So like I told you, we're like the Jeffersons. We're moving on up, you know, so we do things a little different. And I like this now because obviously people get the audio part because, you know, 99% of our audience is all podcasted anyways. But when we do it live like this, and obviously the crowds are growing for this, people like it's a little bit more personable when we get to see each other. You know what I'm saying? It's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm a big fan. I'm just teasing you, but I didn't get full dressed up today.
I need this because everybody that's opposite of me, it's a pleasure for them to watch because, you know, having to watch my face for a couple of hours. I mean, that's just brutal, man. I just feel terrible. So I'm glad that, you know, you improve, you know, the frame here on everything. So everybody will be focused on one side. All right. So first of all, your thoughts. You were out at camp. What did you see? What did you like when you went out to camp?
Yeah, you know, I, of course, was listening to you before I came on. Tua looks good. I mean, I think that's kind of the biggest takeaway so far is just the improvement that we've seen not only over the course of the last week and day or so from camp of Tua, but just really his demeanor, his mannerisms, his command of the team. It is very clearly his team. He is clearly the best quarterback on the field. And that's a really good thing. You're not hearing this really conversation of a quarterback competition, which I think made some people a little nervous maybe coming into camp if that was going to be a point of the conversation. But Tua's the quarterback. This is Tua's team. And we're seeing him play really comfortably, which I think should give Dolphins fans a lot of peace of mind.
Yeah. And, you know, if you heard the time before you came on here on the show, one of the things that I've talked about for over a year now is that he would be a different guy now because he was able to play football. He was able to work on his core. And that's what I think a lot of people didn't take into account last year. He was probably throwing all arm and the core of his body wasn't really 100%. Hell, even Flo said, you know, now he's healthy, admitting that really we all know he wasn't healthy last year. He wasn't 100%. And like anybody knows, whether you're playing baseball or you're going to throw a football or whatever, the core of your body has to be the center of everything. And I think that now he has that. And I think that's why we're watching a guy that physically is comfortable, which leads to mentally being able to do your job.
Yeah, I think the physical health is a huge part of it. And Tua has also admitted that the playbook was condensed for him because of what he was able and what he wasn't able to do. And he also said that he didn't really understand a lot of the playbook. And I know that was a soundbite that got blown up. But he's had a full offseason for the first time of his NFL career. So there are no excuses for Tua Tagovailoa anymore. And his health, his comfort with the playbook, his comfortability with his receivers and with the players around him, and also with the level of talent around him and the way that this team has put pieces in place for him to be successful. Again, no more excuses to make for Tua. So this is his year. He's got to make that second year jump, which is hopefully going to be more than, you know, what a normal second-year jump would be because he was so hindered last year. And I think, this is going to be a very telling preseason. I think we're going to get to see Tua play a lot in the preseason, and we'll hopefully have enough to get excited about the regular season.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm looking forward to it. Are you concerned about the offensive line because it's so young and they need it to come together? And it looks like they're still kind of experimenting too with a couple of positions.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that's probably the biggest question mark in terms of position group right now of the entire team, is this offensive line. And, you expect Austin Jackson to take a big jump. But like you said, there's this shuffling going on in terms of who they're putting where and who's playing left guard, who's playing right. These are all moving pieces right now. So there's nothing really set in stone other than really Austin Jackson, maybe. So I think that's going to be the biggest question mark. And you asked if I'm concerned, and I'm dancing around the question. I guess the short answer is sort of, but there's a lot of time to figure it out. And I think they're very excited about Liam Eichenberg, this kid from Notre Dame. So hopefully he is a big impact, but again, they're so young. And you have Jesse Davis, who is kind of the veteran of the group, and he's kind of getting shuffled around as well. So that's where the concern lies, I think, in this moment.
But I like what you said is there's still we're only a week in the camp. They haven't practiced against the two teams they're going to practice. They haven't played their preseason games. Those game-like situations, they haven't been in yet. They're practicing against themselves. It's not the same thing. Once you get into those practices that you're playing against a complete stranger, and then all of a sudden the competition picks up, the desperation picks up, it just kind of changes the tone of everything that you're doing. I think we'll start to get a better feel. And what's weird, Ruthie, I think, and you've been around sports long enough to experience this, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners, same way. It's funny because sometimes when the lights turn on, we start to see what a player does. And because of that desperation, sometimes we start to see them finally excel. And you kind of it's like a nice surprise all of a sudden because desperation sets in. And I think we've got to give some time for these O-linemen to be put in these situations so we can actually really measure where they're at.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then, of course, you need this offensive line to be productive, to be able to run the ball. And that's something that, you want to see this team be better at as well. We talk so much about Tua, but we also really need to be able to do different things with this team, with this offensive line, with the running backs, because that's a good football team if you can do everything. So I think that when you think about the protection aspect of it and giving Tua time in the pocket, and then when you also think about creating holes for guys like Myles Gaskin, you got to figure out something that works, because it's going to be hard on Tua if you can't run the ball.
All right, Ruthie, are you looking forward to bringing maybe a bottle of Geritol to the AAAs when you watch? I'm sorry, FTX Arena now. When you watch the Miami Heat, because I'm wondering, should we change it from FTX to Geritol? Because this team got old and fast.
I'm going to be honest with you. What is Geritol?
Oh.
Did that just age you?
Yes, because it is for the aging. Yes, yes.
I understood the reference there.
It's an old man and an old woman vitamin pill, basically, is what it is. Okay, that's what it is, Ruthie. I get it. You're young. You're spry. You don't want to even think about things in your 50s and 60s when you're light years away from it. I understand that, but some of us, we're already there. You know what I'm saying? So
that's so funny.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess my take on the Heat, they got a bunch of champions on this team. They have a bunch of dogs on this team who I think are tough. They know how to win. They want to win, and they're putting pieces in place to give Jimmy Butler his championship. And I think with the moves that they've made so far, they can contend in the East. I think. Are they the best team in the East? Absolutely not. But, the way that this team has the potential to play defense is something that maybe can set them apart. And I think when you talk about these old veteran players, we know what they can do at this point. It's really going to be in the hands of the young players. Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero. Can those guys make another massive jump to be more pieces around Jimmy Butler and these guys who are trying to win a championship for Jimmy is really and that's how I view this. I think what Kyle Lowry can do. What PJ Tucker can do. What Markieff Morris can do. Can the young guys elevate themselves to win a championship? That's the big question mark in my mind.
Wow. You and I are on Tuesday. That's exactly what I said. I said, yeah, I did. I said, because these old guys, obviously you're hoping that they can stay healthy all the way down the stretch.
Right.
But ultimately, if you're going to make that deep run and you're going to threaten the Nets and you're going to threaten the Bucks, it's up to Bam and Tyler. They have to, I think Bam has to take that step where he's at least close to superstar, and Tyler has to get to the point where he's at least an all-star, because it kind of reminds me of 06. The Heat had a bunch of older guys, but the one cog in that engine that was young and spry like you was Dwayne Wade. You know what I mean? And he was the guy that gave them the ultimate juice to finish it. The veterans filled in and did all the rest of the things that they have to do. And I agree with you. Bam and Tyler are the key to all of this. If those cats can take that next step, and that's the question I have for you. Can Bam, because he's such a nice guy, right? We got to get him, because I talked about this yesterday. I think Bam has to become a son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Because
it's got to be a little meaner.
Right. As nice as Russell Wilson is, as nice as Dwayne Wade is, and they've got the all-American face, they've got the magical smile, all of that. But when it gets down to crunch time, they're going to cut your throat out. And because there's a nasty streak in them once they step on the field or on the court, and as nice as they look, they're going to eat your heart out. You know what I mean? And I want Bam to become that kind of guy.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean? And can he do it, Ruthie? Is it in him?
I think we've seen moments of it. The first thing that comes to mind is the Jason Tatum block.
Right.
In the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Mm-hmm. That's a moment that comes to mind of where we've seen Bam a little angry and a little mad and making winning plays. Though that's what we want to see more of. And I think having a guy like Jimmy Butler around you, who is the king of closing time and getting a little mean when he needs to, hopefully that can bleed a little bit more into Bam. And this was such a weird.
Hey, PJ Tucker, Kyle Lowry, those kind of guys.
Absolutely.
Nasty. Maybe the tone in that locker room becomes a little nastier and dirtier because these guys are blue collar defensive guys. Maybe that having more like Jimmy around Bam, maybe it starts to rub off.
Yeah, I still want them to be nice guys off the court, but in the locker room, on the court, you guys do what you need to do to win games. And if that means getting a little mean, I think that's what you got to do. But like you said, the pieces, the puzzle pieces around this team and now surrounding Bam are guys that fit that Heat culture, dog mentality, play defense first. That mentality is perfect for the people that they've brought in here. So I think you hope that, and I think Tyler Hero has that mentality. I think Tyler Hero can be that. We've seen streaks of him. His play just needs to be better than it was this year. And I started to say, this was such a weird year for this team. There was kind of an early COVID, no excuses, but there was the early COVID outbreak. They never really felt like they got into a rhythm, and it seemed like there was a little bit of disconnect throughout the whole year. So maybe with the new makeup of this team and with the new guys and with Jimmy and Bam, and those are the guys, we've committed to the guys, and Tyler Hero, we're committed to you. We didn't trade you, even when we could have, and gotten good things around you. Duncan Robinson, you're one of our guys too. We're not letting you go. This is the team we want to win a championship with. Maybe that will do something for this team to light a spark, light a fire under their you-know-whats, and we'll give Bam that little meanness he needs.
How much are you buying the Oladipo move, or is that just a bonus? If
Yeah,
anything comes out of it?
I think it's a bonus. I think he probably wants to stay here in rehab. So it's a low risk, high reward move for the Heat, I would say. If he can be healthy and play in the playoffs, the more the merrier. It can really just create some depth, even if he's coming off the bench and, scoring 12 points. So I think I like it. I mean, I think that's a guy who we've known forever wants to be here. He wants to play for Eric Spoelstra. He wants to be in the Heat organization. So if you want to keep guys like that around to, contribute to that mentality, that locker room mentality that they're trying to, get going here, I think it's low risk. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't move the needle for me. If he would have gone, I would have said makes sense. But with him staying, I say, hey, that could be a big bonus down the stretch.
All right, so I'm going to ask you, we'll wrap it up with this. The great Ruthie Polinski from NBC6 joining us. Remember to follow her on Twitter like I and many others do at Ruthie Polinski. So I just reached
10K followers, and I'm very excited about it. I've been waiting to see the little K.
All right, let's get her to 20. Let's go. Let's load it up.
That's my own little
20. All right, so I know you're well-rounded and you know your hockey too. So I'm going to ask you a trick question here. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Who got closer to knocking off the top dog in their respective leagues, the Heat or the Panthers? Be honest.
That's a good question.
Remember they both played the champion, but only one won 2 games against the champion.
You took the words out of my mouth.
You know what I'm saying?
The way that the Heat played the Lightning,
You mean the Panthers?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Panthers played the Lightning. That was the best series in a lot of ways. Maybe the Islander series was close. But the way that the Panthers played the Lightning was my favorite series, and maybe I'm biased, but I thought that they were the closest to turning something awry for the Lightning. And
they added a young star.
And correct. I think the commitment the Panthers have made so far in the offseason, they are saying we are going for it. We want this. We want this Stanley Cup. This is an organization that is going all in, and I love that. So I think I'm going to say the Panthers. Because
I agree again.
Still got to look at the West. I mean, we're talking about the East for the Heat. I mean, you're looking at the Nets and the Celtics and the Bucks and the Sixers. Those are all going to be contenders always. Then you got to go look at what LA did for both teams and see. I mean, can't even get there yet. You got to get to the finals first. With the Panthers, if you can knock off the Lightning,
that's it.
That's it.
And you beat them during the regular season. And strangely, I think the Panthers are the best team against their goalie. He shuts down everybody else, but the Panthers have a way of scoring against this guy all the time, and he's great. We all know he's all world, but it's amazing to me how the Panthers can get to him at times, and he knows it. Okay, he knows it.
It's in his head.
So I think the Panthers got closer to their championship than the Heat did this offseason. So
I had to think about that for a moment, but now I'm all in on that answer. I think it's the Panthers because there's one opponent that you got to knock off, and then you can see, and then you can do whatever. I think with the Heat, it's you got to get through the East, and then you can maybe think about beating one of the teams in the West.
By the way, you used to be in New England. You used to cover. Just going out on this. How much fun is it to watch this Brady compared to the stinking robot that we had to deal with in New England? And look, all the respect, the GOAT and the whole organization's phenomenal, and they've won 4 billion championships. But the dude in Tampa is fun to watch, bro. I mean, he's fun to watch now.
He's showing off now. And I think he was so humble and so locked in for so long and so serious. He has nothing to lose now, and he can have fun and relax. And I covered Tom for 3 years in New England, and he was stiff and nervous. And I mean, he went through a lot in New England and with the media and how they criticized him and Deflategate and all the things that happened. But he always had this underdog mentality of, no one believes in me. No one believes in me. I'm, pick 199. And then he gets to Tampa Bay. They're good. They win it. And now he's like, let's do it again. Why not? And it is fun. It is really fun. Yeah, I'm a big Tom Brady fan. What I know people down here probably don't like to hear that, but I do think there might be something. I don't know. You could maybe answer this better.
I think I think there's a little renaissance for him down here now because he's not with the Patriots anymore.
Exactly.
And now they're seeing like the human being. Actually, they're actually like, this guy's not really a machine. He's actually like real, and he jokes around. And it's hard not to laugh when he puts out a video with his kids and he's calling them, Welker and Edelman and all that, and where's Gronk? I mean, when you start doing stuff like that, it's just, how do you not laugh at that? How do you not have some fun with it? And I'm glad that he's having fun with this, and he has a coach in Bruce Arians that likes to let it loose a little bit, right? No risk it, no biscuit, or something is what he says. So I guess he's doing no risk it, no biscuit off the field too at the same time.
It's a perfect duo, the two of them, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to Week 5. I think it is in Tampa for the Dolphins. Obviously, you want to see them win that game. Also, the Bucs are going to be coming off the New England game, Week 4. They play New England Week 4, so maybe they'll be a little like, if they beat New England Week 4, then they'll be like a little like laid back from Miami. Miami can just stick it to them. That's the goal.
That would be nice. Follow her on Twitter. Get her to 20K. She is Ruthie Polinski. Catch her on NBC6. Thank you as always, Ruthie. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anytime.
You got it. There you go. The great Ruthie Polinski.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CFs, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Boom. All right. We thank Ruthie Polinski. Excellent work by her. Michelle Kaufman will join us in a little over an hour. She'll join us at noon. We'll talk a little bit about the Inter-Miami match last night, which was nice that they got the tie. I wasn't feeling positive because obviously they're not better than Orlando. So it was nice to see him get a tie, and nice to have Ruthie Polinski on, and she agreed with me on that. As much as I love my Heat, but I think the Panthers made more strides to get to a championship this year. But hey, look, the good thing is both of the winner teams should be back in the playoffs again, and that's awesome. And we're not talking about playing games or anything like that. The Heat should be competing for something in the middle of the playoffs. The 3rd seed, the 4th seed, the 5th seed, maybe 6th through 8. If the old guys aren't able to stay healthy, then they're going to struggle to get to the middle of the pack, but they should be somewhere in the middle of the pack when it's all said and done. And the Oladipo move, and I know somebody asked me about the Oladipo move. It can't hurt, ladies and gentlemen. What is it? It's $2.4 million. Yeah, $2.4 million for a 1-year deal. Can't hurt. Ruthie put it perfectly. Very low risk, high reward. And there's that. This was the contract you signed Oladipo to. Remember, I told you guys at first that I was like exemption, and then I'm like part of an exemption, and that's basically what you gave him, a veteran minimum deal. That's where I was, because some guys were talking about 2 years $30 million, 3 years 30. Get the hell out of here! I ain't giving him that, and nobody gave him that. Look, we all know that Victor Oladipo can play the game. We all know that he's got the talent, but there's one huge problem he has, and he can't stay healthy. And so this is a move that the Heat can win big time if the guy stays healthy for once in a long, long time. But I don't know if he has the confidence. I don't know if he has the ability to stay healthy. I don't know where he's at this point, because if there's one thing I've learned over the years is that a lot of these players, not every one of them, but a lot of these players that suffer all kinds of injuries, like multiple injuries, it breaks them down. They lose their edge. They lose their confidence. They're not the same player. And as the injuries mount, your body also doesn't respond the same way anymore either. It's like a car, you crash it, you get a little fender bender, you can fix it, it's all right. But then you start getting into bigger crashes, and you twist up the frame a little bit or whatever, and you all of a sudden your car looks like a crab because it's driving kind of sideways, and people look from behind and, well, wow, I can see the front tires from that car. Which is weird, right? When you see a car's like sideways cruising, and you're like looking at it and going, wow, I can see the left and right. I mean, the front left and the front back tires. That's weird. And that's because, it's been crashed up a bunch of times. I always call that crabbing. Any car that I see like that, pickups, whatever, they're crabbing in my eyes. That's the way it is. And that's what happens to human beings as athletes. As the injuries mount, Jake Long, you are no longer the same player. You're not the same dominant force you were before all the injuries mounted. That's the set. Devontae Parker, he's not the same guy they got right out of college. He's not. He'll have flashes once in a while because the good Lord blessed him with amazing ability, but unfortunately didn't bless him with durability. And that's the problem right now with Victor Oladipo. But then you also have to ask yourself, okay, how much have the injuries taken a toll on this guy? Can he do some of the things he used to do, or can he only do them occasionally, or he can't do them at all? How's his game? Does he have the same confidence in his shot? Does he have the same confidence when he drives? And you're going to watch all of those things, and you're going to put him through all those scenarios, and you're going to find out whether he is the same player. And that's the problem you have with Oladipo. He's had so many injuries now, you wonder about his confidence. You wonder about his consistency. And you have to be incredibly concerned about his durability. So to sign him to a 1-year deal is perfect. 1 year minimum salary type deal, 2.4 is a joke. That's nothing in the NBA. Role players get $8, $10, $12 million nowadays in the NBA. He can't even get the money of a role. He shouldn't get the money of a role player because you just don't know if you can actually count on him. And he can't even play till sometime early into the season, like November, December, January. You have no idea when you're going to get him back right now. That's the other thing. And you don't know what you're getting. So I love the move because there's no risk whatsoever, and there's a slight chance for a reward. Okay? I'm not even going to tell you it's a good chance or anything like that because I can't count on him. That's why I wanted no part of him for any kind of big salary. And when people were talking about big salaries last year, I kept throwing up every time somebody mentioned it and kept saying, how in the world does that make any sense? And lo and behold, the entire NBA thought the same way finally. Because the people were saying, 2 years, $30 million last year and all that. I'm like, are you out of your mind? There's no way I'm giving that guy big money at all. So love the move. Love the move. No losing in that move, even if he gets injured. Chapman says Devonta Smith said that the best corner he faced in college was Igbinoghene. Just got to give the kid some time, man. He played for Alabama, dude. I mean, this is not a kid that can, Auburn, right? This is not a kid that you just say, oh my God, he's got no, he played in Auburn, bro. He played in the SEC. Let's just give the man some time. Don't forget to smash the hell out of that like button, please. We need you to smash the hell out of that like button. That is very, very important. Let's see. What else do we have here? Desmond Barr says, morning, Big O. Tua was successful in college, hurting his football talent in the NFL. If he wasn't good in college, but balled out the first year in the NFL, what would the jury verdict be on him? Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. It would be the same as Herbert, right? Who didn't necessarily like wow you in college with his arm because they didn't put him in positions to. And I keep wondering with Herbert, is it more about Mario Cristobal than anything else? I like Mario, but wow. I mean, the guy we saw last year for the Chargers was not the guy you really saw ever with Oregon. Lisa Rose is in the house. Says, good morning, peeps. I know it's early in camp, but I have loved the way Tua has looked so far. Tua will be an absolute stud. All right, let me take a 1-minute break here. And when we come back, we are going to start hour number 2. Got a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about. As always, hour number 2 is next.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Love it. Hora número 2. That's right, baby. Hour number 2 is on. And looks like you guys enjoyed Ruthie doing a great job. Dolphin Hank says she is dead on. GP Trap says, much improvement, Big O. Richard Rodriguez says, since when did Tua make excuses? Tua didn't make excuses. He was just talking about he didn't know the playbook that well. That's not an excuse. That's just honesty. And why should he actually, why would he be lying about something like that or making an excuse? That's not who that kid is. He's just telling you the truth. And I love the brutal honesty. Willie Molina says, Ruthie is speaking facts. She did good, right? Oh, she always does good. She's terrific. Manuel Garcia says, if Jesse Davis is starting this year, it does not bode well for the O-line. Manuel, I understand what you're saying. I do. I understand. And while I think most Dolphin fans like or love Jesse Davis and respect him, it kind of reminds me a lot of, was it Andrew Gardner or Gardner? Remember that guy that he played like 4 positions or 5 positions? And you love those kind of cats that can move around a little bit and play different positions at times. Didn't Jeff Dellenbach move into a couple positions too back in the day? So I'm trying to remember a couple of the other guys that have done it over the years, and they became kind of like fan favorites. And I think Jesse Davis is one of those guys that you love. You love Larry Izzo. Do you want Larry Izzo as your starting linebacker? Come on, let's go. No, of course not. Larry Izzo was a freaking star on special teams. He was a tackling machine. He was the ultimate gunner out there on special teams. When you put him in at linebacker, he was so pedestrian that you didn't want him there. Now, Jesse Davis is actually a better player at his position than Larry Izzo was at linebacker. So I'm not going to put him as, because Izzo was a really mediocre linebacker. You knew when Izzo was in the game, forget about it. It was a weakness. He was on special teams. He was a monster. One of the best special teams linebackers you will ever see in your life. It's like Adam Badejo. Remember, he was a terrific special teams player. You didn't really want him at linebacker. It's the way it is. And so Jesse Davis, in a way, has become a fan favorite, and we all respect him because he's the lunch pail guy. He does a solid job, right? Solid job. It's not great. And so what Manuel is saying makes a lot of sense. You drafted guys in higher rounds. You drafted them to be your starter. Jesse Davis is the guy that's supposed to be your sixth man. That's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be the guy that your right tackle gets dinged up. Hey, Jesse, fill in. Right guard gets, hey, Jesse, help out. Left tackle, hey, Jesse, go out, help out. You know what I'm saying? That we've had those kind of guys over the years. Every team over the years has had a couple of those linemen at times that can bounce around and play multiple positions. Not necessarily starter, because you know you're not at your best if he's there. You're just kind of decent there, and that's Jesse Davis. So what Manuel is saying, I have to agree with him on that one. I love Jesse Davis, but I really want to see one of the young guys starting. I want to see the draft picks that you've invested in. Those are the guys. And if you don't have those guys starting, then there's an issue now with some of those young guys. So, yeah, I agree with you, Manuel. I think that's actually a really good text on your part. Let's see. Who's going to guard Andre Drummond? I don't know. C-Dole, I don't know what the hell that means. Got to be a dog on the court, says Miami Sports Vibe. Having Jimmy Haslam, PJ Tucker, Markieff Morris. Hopefully they can get Bam to tap into the toughness on the court. No, I think he's tough. Let's use the right adjective. Nastiness. Aggressiveness. He's tough. I mean, the shoulder stuff last year, that tells you all you need to know. Toughness is not a problem with him. It's his. We need to see Bam have an aggressive nature to his game. He has to want it every night. He has to demand it every night. He has to be a son of a bitch every single night. I wish I could be Dr. Frankenstein and I'd get Alonzo Mourning now that he doesn't need it anymore. And I'd put him on one bed. I'd put Bam on the other bed, and then I'd put those little silver caps on each of them with the cables connecting each other. And then that nasty streak that Alonzo has on the court, I'd like transfer it over to Bam, and it's over. That's it. That's all he needs. Just give him Alonzo's nasty streak, and that's all he needs. So if there's a Dr. Frankenstein out there, then what we have to do now is put together a plan, kidnap both Zoe and Bam, take them to the laboratory, and make the transfer. And then we slip them back into their mansions. Nobody notices. And then they just wake up the next day, and Alonzo will be a great dude as always, but he'll just be a little nicer. And then now Bam will be a great dude as always, except he's going to be a lot nastier when he gets on the court. That's all. Nothing wrong with that. I think that's a plan that can work, right? We won't get in trouble. We're helping the Heat out. It's a good kind of kidnapping. Brandon Flood says, I heard he can't play till March. Yikes. I like the move, though. Yeah, whatever. November, December, January, February, March, whatever. If he can somehow play, you know what? Maybe they should rehab his ass all the way to the playoffs. Like you start playing him like the month leading into the playoffs, so he gets that month to get acclimated, get in condition, all that, and he's as healthy as possible. Maybe you don't play him because the $2.4 million is good enough for the last month of the season and whatever you're going to do in the playoffs. I'm good with that. Maybe you're better off doing that, actually. Let's see. Jeremy Dorsett says, Big O Parker knows that if he gets hurt again, there are other wide receivers in the Dolphins stable that could replace him. Yeah. Yes, but we'll find out. It's not a matter. You gotta remember, Jeremy. He can't control whether he gets injured or he doesn't. So it's not like he can look at his body. All right, guys. All right, no pulled muscles. Knees, you can't blow a ligament. Ankles, let's go. Stay steady now. He can't do that. And he can't like scream at his body and say, no more injuries. He's got no control over that, dog. So it doesn't matter what he has around him, whether he has it or he doesn't. He's got to play. That's it. But unfortunately, he's not blessed with the kind of body that can stay healthy. That's it. He's got terrible luck. Andy Rio says, LeBron is laughing. He stole none from us as he's a player. Okay. He can have them. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there, Andy. I mean, knock yourself out, bro. Daniel Marquez, Dolphin Hank, Milton Munoz says Bernie Parmalee was great special teams, okay running back. Boom. It's funny. It's all this has helped me because the people that Jakeem Grant, he can only return. He's not helping us a wide receiver. You don't keep a returner because he's good on special teams. Well, what about Larry Izzo? What about Bernie Parmalee? Right? What's the difference? Whether you can run it back for a touchdown or give you great field position, or you can tackle somebody. What the hell's the difference? You excel on special teams. So it's funny how there's this I don't call it a double standard. I just call it like blind ignorance. Maybe. Because it sounds so stupid for people to say, well, you can't just keep him because he's a returner. You can't keep a roster spot for that. The hell are you talking about, dude? They keep roster spots for special teamers all the damn time. If you can return or you can cover, it's a gift. So it's funny how can't use it for Jakeem, but we could use it for Larry Izzo and Bernie Parmalee and Fulton Walker. But no, we can't use it for Jakeem. So funny, dude. Tom Flores says, what's up, Big O? Tua's balling out. Awesome. Yes, he is. Martinez says, Jesse Davis is nothing special, but he's more than capable. Well, that's why Manuel was on target with his comment. You can't argue with it. GP Trap says, met Izzo at the old Roadhouse in Davie. Me and my friend Greg B would meet up there every Tuesday. Izzo came in as a rookie. Great dude, isn't he? Cool guy, Izzo. And then he put cool guy. There you go. Richard Rodriguez, what about Jim Crash Jensen? Well, no, wait a minute. Hold on. Ho. He became a hell of a receiver out of the backfield. He wasn't just a backup quarterback. He couldn't just play special teams, which he did play special teams. But he also became a money player on third down. So he translated to other positions. Okay. Jim Jensen, that dude's got a special spot in my heart forever, man. It's those of us that watch Jim Jensen, we love Jim Jensen. I don't think I've never met a Dolphin fan that watched Jim Jensen and doesn't love Jim Jensen. Okay? It's impossible. Listen to me. It's impossible. Okay? If you're too young, can I put it this way? I'm sorry. Your opinion doesn't mean shit to me. Okay? It doesn't mean shit to me. You don't know anything about Jim Jensen. You never lived it. You never experienced it. So it doesn't mean shit to me whatsoever. Because you can go look at his stats and you probably won't be impressed. And you won't know jack crap about Jim Jensen. But those of us that are old enough and we lived it and watched him, it doesn't exist. Listen to me. It doesn't exist. Everyone loves Jim Jensen. Okay? I'm talking about the Dolphins football player. I don't know if you had anything personal, business, whatever. He's a good dude anyway, but I'm just saying, I'm sure personal stuff, everybody's got haters. But I'm saying, as a Dolphin, I don't think I've ever met a Dolphin that can say anything bad about Jim Jensen, the player. Ever. he has the kind of respect that elite players have had over the years. Put it that way. Okay? That's where Jim Jensen stands in my eyes. And I think in my experiences around people. Problem is, many fans question whether Parker or Williams will make the team or get traded because of injuries. However, I praise the coaches to let these veterans come in slowly and not rushing them. I agree, Rosendo. Meaning Milwaukee took the blueprint from the Lakers to beat the Heat. LeBron, Dwight Howard, and AD in the bubble. Giannis, Portis, and Lopez this past season will still small down low. I don't know what that means, Cidola, but I get you. Richard says, love Jim Jensen. That was to your point. Exactly. Craig says, was Marino's go-to guy when it counted. Jay Gelfin says, Jim Jensen is my second favorite Dolphin to Paul Warfield. See what I'm saying? Jim Jensen has the kind of love and respect that you give Zonka and Marino and Warfield and Greasy. And I'm telling you, and he's not any of those guys. That's the funny part. He's not any of those guys, but you're going to respect the hell out of it. Like Bernie Parmalee. Same thing. Same damn thing, dude. Same damn thing. Who the hell doesn't love Bernie Parmalee? You know what I mean? They're just some of these guys that have crossed our time here, and they didn't have to be superstars, but they, Larry Izzo, but they won us over. They won us over because they did all the other things that you need to win. Okay, yeah, of course you need Marino, and you need Kuchenberg, and you need Zonka, and you need the Marks brothers, and you need Tua, and you're going to need Jalen Waddle, and you're going to need Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas. And yeah, I could talk about all the players that are great, or some of them that we hope are going to be great soon. But then there's all those other guys that we run into over the years that we fall in love with, and Jim Jensen is right at the top of that list, man. Just one of those guys that sold out every time he was on the field. Manny J. Snow says, Jensen used to line up almost right next to Marino and just trickle down and get the easiest first downs ever. I love Jensen. You're right. Former Dread says, from Fulton Walker, RIP, hometown of Martinsburg, West Virginia. There you go. Caffrey Gold says, Big O, when will we have another Lamar Smith and Ricky Williams? I told you guys this already. Next year. Next year, I think they will go for that star back, because then this has been my theory on running backs and why the Dolphins have not invested on a higher pick for a running back. And I'll give you the example why. Okay. Most of these running backs nowadays are one contract guys, maybe two, unless you could get a superstar back, that's not a knucklehead like Ezekiel Elliott, but is more like Saquon Barkley. But you see, Saquon already blew out a knee once already, right? In his first contract. But those kind of guys, you might give them a second contract. Now, while this team is developing an offensive line in its first 3 years, think about this. If you would have gotten the running back 3 years ago, he would have gone through that first season, taking a pounding and a beating. Then the second season, he would have taken a pounding and a beating. And this third season, he would have taken a pounding and a beating because the line is young and they're trying to figure it out. If you draft him in year 2, he takes a pounding and a beating from last year's line. And now he's taking a pounding and a beating from this year's offensive line. And you're hoping that you're going to be that team in year 4 or 5 that's going to a Super Bowl. Okay. So you're risking injury, you're risking wear and tear, all those kind of things. Running back is the easiest transition position in the NFL. It's a lot harder to transition at corner, at wide receiver, at tight end, O-line, D-line, quarterback, safety. All of those kind of things are so much harder to transition than running back. Running back always seems to be the easier position to transition from one level to another, correct? I think most of you would agree. So I think the Dolphins they want to get by with the backs that they have and not make major investments. I think once they've developed the line and the quarterback, which I think that'll take this year here, where you'll have a much better feel for the line by the end of the year, your quarterback will be fine and ready to go after this year's done because he's fully healthy 2 years in. He's got a real full season under his belt. success, all that stuff, you'll feel good. I think the back comes next year. So you get the fresh legs, you get a star back, and you pair him up with a guy like Gaskin, and all of a sudden now you've got a nasty 1-2 punch, and now you can really go after teams. Gaskin is already seasoned, knows the offense, knows everything, can teach the young kid that comes in, and then they can share time, and then the rest is history. And I think that's when you add the guy, because then he steps into an offense that has a quarterback that's established, that has a line that's more established, has the wide receivers that are established. And so now everybody's really worried about everything else. And the running back is not the guy. Whereas if you put a star running back in the first 2 years in this offense, who are you most worried about? The star running back. So now he's dealing with 8 in the box because they're not really scared of the quarterback at that point in time. The receivers aren't that great. You see what I'm saying? So I think they kind of felt, it's just me, why beat the kid up now? And then we're wasting a draft pick and all that stuff. And who knows if he survives the beating of the first 2-3 years of us developing this team. So let's just get guys, later round picks, free agents. Let's get by on that position, because you can get by on that position. And Gaskin was actually doing a really good job until he got injured. To be honest, he was doing a very serviceable job when he got injured. So I think they felt like they could get by with those kind of guys. I think next year comes the investment in a high pick and a running back in that first or second rounds. And so one of the better backs coming out next year, I could see them playing for the Miami Dolphins. And they've got multiple picks too. So they will be set up again to do something like that. That's my theory. That's my story. And I'm sticking to it. Okay? I'm just, that's just my guess. Let's see. What else do we have here? Pat in Nashville says, Jim Jensen loved playing the game, just made plays. George Ceballos is in. Robert Mesa says, love Trace Armstrong, John Offerdahl, and Aronde Gadsden. Yeah, those were players. Yeah. How do you not love those guys? Call of Duty, how about John Denny? He was a great specialist for Finns. Yeah, but that's a long snapper. That's always been a guy that takes up a roster spot. Mike Pulisic, when he's not scoring goals, he is watching us here. I could see Zach Seiler getting that love. Zach Seiler might end up becoming a really impact starter, not just a Larry Izzo type, okay, or Jim Jensen type. McDuffie was a baller too, Marino's go-to guy. Marino called him the guttiest wide receiver he ever played. Yep, he said toughest wide receiver he ever played with too. Toughest player he's ever played with, he called OJ. Not just receiver, he called him toughest player he's ever played with. Doug from the 317, Indianapolis says, Oladipo turned down a 4-year, $84 million contract from my hometown Indiana Pacers. And he turned out a 2-year, $40 million deal from Houston last year, too. Yep. Martinez says there are some great-looking running backs coming out of the draft next year. Yeah, there's great running backs every year. They'll get one. I'm not worried about that. But I think that's what they're doing. And by the way, what I told you, doesn't it kind of make sense in a way? Selfishly for us, yeah, we want to see a better running back, but you kind of understand it. And during this process, maybe you don't need your high pick taking a beating right now because he doesn't have a line. He didn't have a quarterback that can really scare people, wide receivers that are scaring people. Now, all of a sudden, next year, the running back steps in, and it's a seasoned Gesicki and a Hunter Long and a Jalen Waddle. And if Will Fuller comes back, whatever, or if not, they draft another young guy, whatever. I mean, fingers crossed, Preston Williams, if he can stay healthy, he'll become a hell of a player. Jim Jensen came in as a QB and made the transition to special teams and tight end. Yes, sir. Was it a tight end or was it more like an H-back, right? Kind of like an H-back. Big O, when the NFL moves the kickoff to the 35-yard line, do you think players, Devin Hester, Reggie Bush, Ted Ginn Jr., Oz Hakeem, would last in today's NFL playing special teams? Yeah, they would. It's a lot harder to succeed nowadays on special teams. That's why Jakeem Grant is so special, because with today's rules, he's actually still succeeded. That's why I keep saying he's completely underappreciated. One of my favorite Dolphins was Nat Moore. I'm with you, Craig. That's my favorite wide receiver. That's my favorite Dolphin wide receiver of all time is Nat Moore. And I'm sure a lot of Dolphin fans will never say that. They'll say Paul Warfield. They'll say Irving Fryer. They'll say the Marx brothers. They'll say those kind of guys. Maybe a younger guy goes with Chris Chambers, something like that. But Nat Moore's my guy. It's always been my guy. That's the guy that when I was playing in the street or in the park, that's the guy I would scream. And, whenever I scored a touchdown or whatever, and it was in the honor of Nat Moore. That's always been my favorite receiver, my favorite Dolphin receiver of all time. So there you go. Richard says Nat Moore was a team first guy. Still is, too. Okay. Still is a team first guy. What do you think of the Eagles retooling? I don't buy Allen Hurns, bro. I'm sorry. Allen Hurns, Jalen Hurts. Allen Hurns isn't going to make this team either. But anyway, Jalen Hurts, I'm sorry, dude. I don't buy him as a quarterback. I don't. And maybe that's why the talk continues that they're going to be the team that's heavily going to go after Deshaun Watson. Jalen Hurts is one of those kids you root for because he's a terrific young man. Like, character is impeccable. You know what I mean? And I saw the tweet the other day where he's deadlifting 600 pounds. So he's a great athlete. I understand all of that. I just don't think that Jalen Hurts is a great passer. So I'm not buying what the Eagles are doing. And I know the Eagles, it's funny because we thought that Eagles team was going to do more, right? And everything went awry, dude. The team got old. The players got, either released or cut or traded. The quarterback totally lost his confidence. Obviously, often injured, too, on top of all of that. Now he's getting injured in Indianapolis. And I found it kind of interesting, weird, twisted, whatever you want to call it, that apparently he had a foot injury that must have happened in high school, they say. And so he had that broken bone in his foot forever. And then apparently whatever shift it made, it started to obviously cause a lot of pain to him. And then he had to have the surgery. And now he's out 5 to 12 weeks. But it's funny because a lot of us thought, okay, that Eagles team, man, they're building something there that's going to be, long lasting, and it did not last. And they're already a ways away removed from being that Super Bowl team. So I don't see the Eagles challenging for anything. They could challenge in that terrible division. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. That division's a joke. So, yeah. But I don't see them as a real contender, as they say. Don't be shocked to see both Preston and Albert Wilson not make the team. Foster's had a good camp, and I think they'll keep 7. Too early to tell any of that, even with Foster making the roster. I saw him on Saturday make a play, but, it's just that's just practice, man. You know how many players I've seen in practice star in practice? And then once the pads go on and we get to the practices against teams and the preseasons and all that, and then they start to disappear. I've seen this story a lot over the years. So I am not going to overreact on some guy that's catching passes or a guy that's struggling in the first week of training camp. And they just put on pads on Tuesday. So they only had pads on for 2 days. Not ready yet. Not ready yet. We gotta give it some time. I'm not ready to get off the Noah Igbinoghene bandwagon just because the kid struggled early on and he's not playing well. I'm not ready for that. I don't get off the bandwagon that quickly. I don't overreact that quickly. What else do we have here? My wife offered to buy a trip to celebrate the Eagles Super Bowl parade 3 years ago. I declined, thinking they would win another title. Wow. So you pulled a Dan Marino with a title. Because Dan lost and thought he would be there again and again. He never went back. Your team wins the Super Bowl and you assume they're going to win more, and then you're not. But hey, think about it this way. I got to tell you, Andy, you might have done the right thing because the Eagles fans acted like the animals that they are, and they tore down the city. And you might have been arrested doing something like that. So maybe they saved you from going out there and committing crimes like a lot of Eagles fans did. So there you go. There's your silver lining to all of this. You might have gotten drunk and in a drunken stupor. You might have lit up, a cheesesteak business on fire, and then, you're in jail for arson. So, you know what, Andy? That was probably the best thing you did. Fred Davis says Larry Shannon. There was a, was it Daniel Manning? I think the kid's name was. He was great in shorts. Maybe it's not Daniel Manning, but it's Manning. I want to say it was a Manning. And there was a, I know because I covered that camp. It was for Jimmy. And I forgot the kid's name, but it was something Manning. And he tore it up in shorts, dude. And then once we got to the hitting in the preseason, then he just disappeared after that, never made the team. So I've seen this before many times. Let's see. Larmello Shepherd says, love you, Big O. I get tears in my eyes now that we're going to be really contending again in a long time. Finns fan, 30 plus. Well, it's fun, man. I think what's changed with all of us here now, I think, is that we now see that there's a front office. We now see a coach. We haven't seen that combination, I don't know, since Shula. We kind of felt it with Jimmy, but it really didn't materialize. But we didn't feel it with anybody else, that you felt great about the front office and the coaching. And right now, that's where the renaissance is. Right now, we're feeling like some of those fans felt in the 70s and the 80s when you felt good about the coaching staff and then the people that were in the personnel department, helping Shula out from the Beathards of the world and all that kind of stuff that they had there for many years. And so I think that now there is that feeling for those of us that have followed this team for a long time. And even if you're young and you've only been following it the last 15, 20 years because you're 25 or 30, 35, whatever, you also feel the same way because you didn't feel like that under Wanstead. You didn't feel like that under Cam Cameron, and you didn't feel like that under Sperano. And you didn't feel like that under Gase and so on and so forth. So this is the first time that we actually feel like, wow, okay, our front office knows what the hell they're doing. And damn, that coach knows how to get the best out of everybody. We haven't had that feeling in forever down here. And I think that's what you're saying. And I agree with you on that. It's a really good feeling because you're watching the team being built the right way. The progression is headed in the right direction. You go from 5 to 10 wins. You make the playoffs this year. That's 3 straight years of continuing improvement. We're not used to that as Dolphin fans. We're used to this. And the highs aren't that high, but the lows were pretty low. That was the bad part, too. Because the last 20 years, there isn't that much to talk about. Couple playoff trips, couple of appearances, and a bunch of embarrassments. Now you don't feel that way. You don't feel like you're going to get embarrassed anymore. Now you feel like you also don't feel like your coach is going to get out schemed either. It's a different feeling right now. C. Dola says, shout out to OJ McDuffie. Damn right. Good dude. Not just a great player, but a really good dude. Okay? That's the thing you got to love about OJ. Not only was he a great player, he's a great, great human being, man. If they do wind up trading X, who plays opposite of Byron? Needham, McCourtney, or Noah? They need to make X happy if this defense is going to succeed again. The D needs to be able to play man on man. Okay, so let me ask you something. What is going to make X happy? I'm just wondering. Happy for what? Happy right now? Is he going to be happy 6 months from now? Is he going to be happy a year from now? Are you going to be happy a year from now with him? Are you sure he's not going to have a... So what happens if he gets his money and then he blows out his knee 6 weeks from now? Then what are you going to say? Are you going to say the Dolphins were idiots for giving X more money when they knew he was injury prone already? Because that's usually what happens. You want him to get paid. You want him... Why does X need to be happy, by the way? That's the other thing. You mean he wasn't happy with 40-something million guaranteed? You mean he's not happy getting 12 million guaranteed? That's not happiness? We have to live in the misery that you're jealous of somebody else? That's how it works? Okay. How many of you are happy at work with what you're getting paid? And you're still working, right? Boy, you'd like to get a raise. How many of you think you deserve more money than what you're getting right now? How many of you have said, yeah, well, that's me. So how come they're not making you happy? I'm just wondering. Because a lot of you that they don't make you happy at work because they don't pay you what you think you deserve. So now your life's incomplete because X is unhappy? Really? If they're paying him $12 million, why can't he be on the field and be a professional? They're not paying you anything extra, and you think you deserve it, and you're working. I love that. We got to make X happy. Why? They made him happy. They gave him his contract, and then he gave them a domestic dispute and a knee injury. That's how he rewarded them. So where's the Dolphins' happiness last year when they paid him all that money and he wasn't there 2 years ago? Where's the Dolphins' happiness there? Where's my happiness? Because I wasn't happy. They played without X. They had to walk into New England without X and beat them. So why is X's happiness so important to some of you? That's hilarious. I don't get this. The rest of us are professionals. The rest of us play through whatever agreements we've made with our employer. And we may deserve to get more, but we don't get it. Does it stop you from doing your job? Because it's certainly stopping him from doing his job. We got to make him happy. You had your chance at happiness, dude. I'm sorry if you weren't smart enough to know your contract or understand it. That's your effing problem, not mine. You married a bum guy that doesn't work and doesn't pay the bills and doesn't keep up with the kids. What are you going to do? You married a bitch that complains and just spends your money. What are you going to do? I'm just saying, man. You know, it's happy. Out of here, man. Happy. Man, let's make his world perfect. He can have all those knee surgeries. He can have domestic issues. But let's make his world happy. No, he deserves this. He didn't give any money back 2 years ago, but he deserves more money now. Because we have to make him happy. Because he's a petulant child. He's not very smart. Doesn't read his contract. He just signs it. and then realizes after that he didn't sign the right contract. So now, because he's constantly making mistakes, he's constantly getting injured, he's the guy with all the issues, let's make him happy. Since when, man? I love that, man. Let's just make him happy. You're all happy out there, aren't you? JP says Xavien Howard's going to play on Sundays, whether he likes it or not. He doesn't really have a choice. Alex Hennis says, oh, did you ever go to Hialeah in its heyday? Yes, I did. Plenty of times. Had a girlfriend that was in love with Joey. Lisa Patterson says, Big O, how much do you think Tua will play in the preseason games? Do you think he'll play a little bit in each game? Yes. Oh, yeah. He has to, Lisa. They have to get him. They have to get him in a groove. So, yes, he has to play. Now, he's not going to play 4 quarters or anything like that, but he'll play like they normally do, you know, a couple plays in the first quarter, a couple of drives, I'm saying, in the first quarter. Then he'll play an entire quarter, an entire half, and that kind of stuff. And he'll get, you know, his feet wet. Plus, he has the 2 practices against, the Bears and the Titans, right? Or the Bears and the Saints, or who is it? I forgot now. Bears Falcons? Whatever. He has 2 practices against 2 different teams. That'll be huge. That'll be enormous, Lisa, to help him out. Okay? Mikey says, amen, Big O. Andy Rio says, I work for my wife and have the best job possible. She's watching, isn't she, Andy? Huh? You need a raise. Your wife is watching. She's watching you watch us. She's hearing me complain about making them happy. And are you happy at work? And you're trying to get some brownie points, aren't you, Andy? Huh? You're trying to get a raise from the wife. Smart move on your part. R-Rod says, I'm curious to see how many snaps the starters will play in each of the preseason games now that there's only 3. They've got to get them some snaps, man. They've got to get them some snaps and get their guys acclimated. Ian says, as soon as they rework X's salary, I'll say around week 3, he will get hurt. Not hoping for it. I just say facts. You're right. You're right. And then the people that said pay him, guaranteed, because nobody keeps track of the people that are saying pay him. None of us. I'm not writing down names of people say, oh, pay him. And then I can go back to those people and say, no, nobody will remember that, right? Whatever they said. And then they'll follow up with, oh, they're stupid for paying him. He's always injured. Guaranteed. That's how they roll, as they say. You know? What can I tell you? Don't forget, folks, smash the hell out of the like button. That is one of the most important things you're going to do for our show. It is incredibly important that you smash the like button, that you subscribe, share the link with folks out there. If you ever have a question that you don't want to put on the YouTube chat board, you can send it to me on email, send me a link, send me whatever you want, a picture of something that you want to show off or whatever, breaking news or something you're seeing. You want to give us a tip, Big O Radio Show at yahoo.com. That's Big O Radio Show at yahoo.com. And, of course, you can also support our show through Cash App and Venmo, Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. Alan on Twitter saying, Big O Show is spitting facts on X, being happy, BS. It's so true because nobody gives a shit about you not being happy. And there's a bunch of you out there that want to get more money and get paid more for your work. And there's probably some other people in your job that are making more money and you know it, and you're better than they are. They're not making you happy. I'm just saying. Yahweh Bullah says 4 million in pennies. We gave Flowers 10 million a year for nothing. Howard 5 million for nothing. It's not for nothing. You give it to him, then you have to then other people will come with their hand out and say, well, I outperform my contract. It's a year old. I need you to rework my deal. And then you will open up Pandora's box for everything else. Oh, I don't get the Grateful Dead at all. Is it because I don't do drugs? Well, listen, I got to tell you, Dougie Fresh, I may be the wrong guy to ask because I like Grateful Dead. They're all right, but I'm not the guy that goes crazy over the Grateful Dead and I got to go see them and they're the greatest band in all time. They're all right. I enjoy them, but it's not like I'm not the guy that freaks out over the Grateful Dead. I'm more pumped up about going to Metallica and Greta Van Fleet in Atlanta. That's what I'm more pumped up about. I'm more pumped up whenever Iron Maiden does their new tour and then comes to town, or U2, something that gets me going more than the Grateful Dead. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not the right guy to ask. But dope, I think, does kind of help you with the Grateful Dead. You can hang out with a jam band. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I think that'll work. All right, so the boys are back at practice tomorrow. Dolphins are off today. We talked a little bit about Noah struggling. And in a way, again, look at Dieter. Dieter also, right? First 2 years. Now it looks like he's starting to maybe, again, hasn't arrived yet because we got to get to the pads on for several weeks. We only had it for 2 days. But Dieter is a great example for the Noah Igbinoghene overreaction, just like the Tua overreaction from last year. Everybody doesn't come along like right away. Sometimes it takes a little while, and we've got to give everybody an opportunity to try to fight through their adversities, and hopefully they'll be able to overcome it. Jason McCourty, by the way, has been moved from safety to corner again. Played corner most of his career, but was moved to safety. And looks like they've moved him back to corner. Holland picked up his interception yesterday against Tua, playing now with the first team as the free safety, which is good news because you expected Javon Holland to eventually become the starting free safety of this team. Nick Needham was moved back inside to the slot, so he's playing his natural position instead of playing out in the boundary. Rookie Larnell Coleman, a 7th rounder, is playing right tackle now, getting some time for Jesse Davis. Jesse looks like he's a little banged up, so it looks like they're bringing Jesse along slowly. So they're playing him at right tackle, and then they're resting him, and then they're giving Coleman an opportunity there at right tackle. And that's good, too, because you kind of know what Jesse is. So you want to find out if Larnell Coleman has got what it to play the position and to give you, the kind of depth that you would like. To have another swing tackle in the mix would be good because Jesse can play guard, and then that would give you a lot of flexibility. But again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Let's see how Larnell Coleman does as he gets more time playing right tackle because of Jesse Davis's injury. They're kind of bringing him along slowly. Out of practice yesterday was Jalen Phillips, Gesicki, Cethan Carter, Shaheen, and Will Fuller. Hopefully they can start getting some of these guys back over the next couple of days. Next week, they'll practice against the Bears. That will be an enormous help for the Miami Dolphins. Those are my favorite practices in a preseason. I think the most helpful practices are those kind of practices right there when you get to play against the team for a couple days and you're put in all the different types of situations and the competitive juices just flow because you get to hit somebody that's not your teammate. And I know it's very cliche-ish to talk about that stuff because players talk about it, but trust me, it means something to be able to play against somebody else that you know is not your teammate because you'll get fined if you go too hard against your teammates or if you take a cheap shot or something like that. Here, it's all different ballgame. Tua, I learned that he has 3 dogs yesterday. I did not know. I like him even more. He's a dog person. Now, I do want to ask and inquire about something with Tua that maybe one of you can help me out because I can't say that I know everything about this kid. Is he a Cowboys fan? Was he a Cowboys fan growing up? Is that his team? He's got 3 dogs. One of them is named Dallas. The other one is named Star. And then he's got the third one named Gotti. But I'm thinking Dallas and Star, I'm thinking Cowboys. So maybe he didn't name it Cowboys because I don't know how long he's had these dogs. He didn't know who he was going to get drafted by. So he didn't want to have a dog called Cowboy because then people would put it right away. But I'm wondering, does anybody know? Oh, it's the Struts. That's it at the end of the month. It's the Struts. Thank you. That's at the Culture Room. That's where I'm going. Way to go, Brandon. Thank you. But anyway, so is it does anybody know what pro team he liked growing up? I have no idea. Maybe he did like Dallas. Maybe he was a Cowboys fan. Dallas Cowboys is correct, says R-Rod. I have no I am completely coming from ignorance. I didn't go look it up. I don't even know where I could find that the Cowboys are his favorite team or was his favorite team as he was growing up. But I saw that two of his dogs, I just said, well, wait a minute. One's called Dallas, the other one's called Star. This kid's a Cowboys fan. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking, okay, here we go. Here it goes now. He's got two dogs named Dallas and Star. Tua wants to get traded. Tua really wants to be a Cowboy. He doesn't want to be a Dolphin. All that's what's next. That's the next storylines that they're going to write about it. Googled it and found a Newsweek article where he said it. Oh, there you go. Thank you. Okay. Had no idea. So that's what I picked up from it when I saw those three dogs' names. I was like, this dude's a Cowboys fan. Dallas and Star. You kidding me? Let me see. Michelle Kaufman is going to join us. She might join us a little later than noon. Let me get to her here. Just want to answer her text. So we'll get Michelle Kaufman a little bit after noon, okay? After 12. So she was set to join us at noon, so it'll be just a little bit. She's filing a story, so maybe she has some breaking news that she'll go over with, because some news did break yesterday during the game for Inter Miami that they could be selling. They're trying to sell several of their players. So who knows if she's trying to break something that they may be making progress on some of that. Doug from the 317 in Indy. The Grateful Dead in its heyday was a phenomenal experience, more than just music. Okay. What was the other? Was it like, hey, man, we're flowing, dude. It's like things are going like, you feeling the music, man? Here's some acid. I don't know, but more power to you. Andy Rio says the Hollywood Sportatorium was the place to see old bands back in the day and drop some acid, man, have a little snort, smoke a little bit, have a drink or two. Yeah, dude. Let's see. Big Bob says, you mean the Snortatorium? I never understood that. How do you go to a concert coked up? Right? Like, aren't you all uptight and paranoid or something with coke? It's kind of weird. Like, I can understand those that get high because you're kind of grooving. Okay, fine. I never understood the dude that's drunk at a concert. Why do you get drunk at a concert? I had a buddy of mine that used to get wasted at a concert, right? And then the next day he's asking us about the concert. And I'm like, mother effer, you were there, but you were so freaking drunk that you couldn't remember the damn concert. Oh yeah, man. I just enjoy it. I'm like, well, but you didn't enjoy the concert. That's what you paid to do. You paid to see the damn concert. It's funny because I've been to like 1,000 concerts and I can remember like all of them practically. And I can remember scenes in different concerts and things that happened and all that. Why? Because I'm not going to go get wasted in a concert. I've never understood that in my life. Why do I want to go to an event that I'm not going to remember? Doesn't make any sense. So I've never understood the people that get wasted at a football game, wasted at a concert. I've never, ever, ever, ever understood that. First of all, I've only been drunk a couple times. I don't mind drinking, but I'm not gonna. Getting drunk is no fun, dude. I've done it a few times. The next morning is terrible, and I would never go to an event drunk. Ever. I would never go to any event wasted. I want to remember everything, dude. It's fun. I could tell you about concerts all the way back to the early 80s. And I remember lots of things that went on. And in fact, if you've watched this show or listened to the show for long enough, you'll hear me talk about concerts, and I'll talk about scenes that happened in each of those concerts. And they were 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. You know, but it's just the weirdest thing. I've never understood, and we all have them, right? Some of you might be one of those people, but I think we all have a friend or two that loves to get wasted at these kind of events. And you're like, why? You know, just makes zero sense in my eyes. Big O, are you planning to stream on location again at Acura Pembroke Pines? I have I'm 5 minutes from there. R-Rod, we will be there the 13th and the 27th. Okay? Friday the 13th, Friday the 27th, I believe. I want to say. Next, am I right? It's I'm going off memory here, but I think it's the 13th and the 27th. Yes, it is. Exactly. The 13th and the 27th are Fridays. And next Friday, we will be at Craig's Inn, Acura Pembroke Pines, to broadcast out there starting at 10 a.m. And then 2 Fridays after that, on the 27th, we'll be there again at Craig's Inn's, Acura Pembroke Pines. I am waiting for what's it called? The boys at Caneswear to tell me what date we're going to be at Caneswear this month also. So we've got that going on. And I'll tell you the date for Caneswear. Hopefully I'll know by tomorrow, actually, and I can tell you that. But I can for sure tell you that we will be at Craig's Inn's twice a month, and it'll be next Friday and then 2 Fridays after that, the 13th and the 27th. Okay? Michael says, I have no clue why people go to events to drink when they can drink anywhere. Well, I don't mind if you drink. I'm good with having a drink or two or whatever. I just never understood the person that goes and gets wasted. That's the one I don't understand, because you're not going to remember everything. And isn't that the idea? Don't you want to go to the event and it's weird. Let's see. Netflix has a new Cocaine Cowboys documentary posted last night. Any interest? Oh, I love that. I watch all of what's it called? Billy Corbin stuff. Yes, man. Yeah, I love all that Cocaine Cowboy stuff. I'm leaving it for the weekend. I'm gonna watch. I believe it's 7 episodes. I'll watch it all on the weekend. Is what I'll do. Friday night, I'll sit down with the wife and we'll probably watch 2 or 3 episodes every night and then finish it off right away. But yeah, we will binge on the weekend. That's what I'll do. I'm gonna save it for that. So this weekend I'll get to do Ted Lasso, and I'll do Cocaine Cowboys, whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called, but yeah, it's another one of those parts of that series. We had enough Cocaine Cowboys down here to do many, so Billy Corbin will be busy for a long, long time having an opportunity, and he does such an awesome job with all those things. They are fantastic. But I did see it 2 days ago about it, and I said, okay, I know what my weekend's going to be like, and so I'll be doing that. I'll watch whatever sports I can, which I believe Inter plays on Sunday. Marlins will play all weekend, and then we'll squeeze in a little Ted Lasso, and we'll squeeze in the Cocaine Cowboys documentary. It's a beautiful thing. Nothing wrong with that. Did you see Screwball? Oh, yeah, dude. Anything that makes fun of that effing clown, Alex Rodriguez, I'm all in. biggest phony that has ever been practically in the history of sports. I've never bought into that guy ever, dude. Ever. And this whole, and all these clowns that fell for this renaissance. Oh, he's a new man. And get the hell out of here. It's the same descarado. So no. Yes, anything that has to do with making fun of Alex Rodriguez, I'm all in. I'm all in. Okay? Seriously. Just a total freaking loser. And guess what? I'm happy J-Lo dumped his ass. And that girl he was out with, she's cute. She ain't J-Lo. And she might be 20 years younger than her. She ain't J-Lo, bro. So there you go. He's even gonna have a harder time to find something better than that. Well, it's hard to find a lot of things better than J-Lo, right? I mean, at 52, that woman, wow, that is truly amazing. What else do we have here? What happened to honoring the contract you signed? When I bought my house, I signed the contract. I was expected to honor it. We all do, bro. But no, we live our lives by a different standard. Okay? Our jobs, as you all know, is to make X happy. Hour number 3 is next.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
We are ready. Hour number 3 is on the air. The breaks are never long, so stay with us there. Hang in there. Be a little patient. By the way, wow, the market is flying, dude. Where's John Rouse? Because Ethereum is near $2,800 right now. Where is John Rouse? He has got to be one happy camper right now. And again, obviously I keep up with the crypto market in a big time way. And it's amazing to me because Bitcoin is at 39.1 right now. And it's been around the 38, 39 area after it got up to 42 and it consolidated a little bit now at 38, 39 now. It's starting to climb up a little bit, but then it dropped now a little bit. But it's kind of waffled there. While it's waffling, Ethereum is climbing. And some other coins are also, climbing in the process without Bitcoin's help. Thorchain is up almost 8%. It's over $8 on this consolidation. I got Thorchain as low as $4. So I've doubled my money already on Thorchain. And no, I'm not selling because Thorchain was at $20. So it's going to climb and continue to climb. And let me tell you something. You know how good of a company Thorchain is? They were hacked because they added a new bridge. And they were hacked for $4 million. They went and they got out of their emergency fund, and they replaced the $4 million for everybody that missed any money. Then they got hacked again for $8 million. Went back to the well, replaced all the money. That's a good company. All right. And now they're, figuring, and that's why you're watching it climb back up again, because it's not having the kind of issues other companies have had, that when they're trying to build these blockchains, They've got to obviously build it right. And sometimes you have some setbacks, and they've had setbacks, but they have secured and assured all those setbacks. And that is studly on their part. And they're being rewarded now because that coin fell all the way to 4. And it's going to climb and pass $20 when it's all said and done, because it's a really good company. But just to give you an example of a company that has had some issues lately with some new additions that they're doing, and yet they acted like a responsible and a professional company, and they're being rewarded now, and that's one of the coins that is exploding. Uniswap, by the way, is up 7.5%. It's up to $24. And Uniswap also is another one. I think I got it as low as $15. And Uniswap, we're talking about a company that was in the $39 range. 40.51, I'm sorry. It was 40.51. You see here? Yeah, 40.51 on May 14th. So, eventually it's going to go back up to that and surpass that. That's why, again, not a financial advisor, but why you had to take advantage of the dip that happened in the market where people thought it was a crash. It was really a consolidation. And those of you that picked up Ethereum at 1750 and 1800 and 1850 and 1900, and now it's at 2700, congratulations to you, because you're a little bit away from getting 50% back already of your investment, which is crazy. And remember, Ethereum was at 4,000. It's going to go back to 4,000. It's on its way to get back to 4,000. So those of you that bought the dip and took advantage of it, you're going to get rewarded in a big time way. Big O, now that Carson Wentz is out 7 or 8 games, it means the Eagles lose their first round pick. Yes, they lose it's a second round pick now. If he doesn't, I think it's 75% of the snaps or 70% of the snaps. And it looks like he's not going to play 70% of the snaps or 75. I forgot which number it is. It would become a second rounder. So it looks like now the Eagles will get a second rounder, not a first rounder, from the Colts. And that second rounder still becomes an overpriced one if he can't play. Because if he suffers another injury and another setback, and you got Nick Foles on one end, right? He's in Chicago. He's pretty much useless. He's hanging out there, and then his name has been brought up that, they would bring him down there and all that, and then he has to address all those questions. You know what I mean? And then you've got the Phillip Rivers thing, and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm exercising a little bit. I'm even throwing the football around. I'm not closing the door on returning. So the Colts, I don't know if they're going to go the Nick Foles route or they're going to go the Phillip Rivers route. Whichever way, it doesn't matter. Neither one's going to be the answer. It's this whole thing of falling in love with what Nick Foles did in the Super Bowl. Dude, it was a moment in time. Everything fell into place for the guy, and it worked. It's not going to ever happen again for Nick Foles. Just like it'll never happen again if Trent Dilfer was still playing, or any of those kind of guys that have had that success at the pinnacle. It's not because of them. It's because of the pieces around them set them up to have that success. You know what I mean? So, the ultimate example is watching Peyton Manning win a Super Bowl with the Broncos when he can't throw past 10 yards. And the guy won a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning's the worst quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl in the NFL. That championship right there with Denver in 16, there was no worse quarterback ever in the history of the game than that guy right there in the Super Bowl. And he won. So it's just one of those things, you catch lightning in a bottle and you're able to perform. So I don't know if, Foles definitely is not the answer in my eyes. That's for damn sure. Michelle says she will be joining us in about 3 to 5 minutes. So we'll have a little fun. Mets, by the way, defeated the Marlins 5-3. They are playing right now in 1 minute at 12:10. Will be the first pitch. Rich Hill taking on Braxton Garrett. Aguilar yesterday with a solo shot. They've won 2 of 3 against the Mutts, Maybe they can take this one and take 3 or 4. Inter Miami, congratulations. They picked up the draw against Orlando City. Kieran Gibbs, man, that was a really nice header. Ulloa Piazzo with the assist. So they on Sunday, they will host Nashville at Drive Pink Stadium. The two expansion teams from 2 years ago will now meet again at Drive Pink Stadium. What else do we have here that we got to talk a little bit about? We talked a little bit about the Dolphins. Tomorrow we've got Thursday night football. It'll be the Cowboys and the Steelers at 8 o'clock. It's that game that you really, it's almost like, although there's 3, well, that would be 4 for them actually, because they're playing the Hall of Fame game. It's always an extra. But I was thinking about that. With the 3 games, you may have to handle things a little differently now. I don't think coaches really know how they're going to handle the preseason this year. Flo couldn't even give us the straight up answer on which is going to be their dry run for the season, because usually it's game 3, the one where you go into the third quarter of a game because you're getting ready, and then 4th week your guys are resting, and pretty much all the scrubberinis are playing in the 4th game, and you're trying to figure out maybe 1 or 2 spots on the roster at the back end, and your practice squad too. That's probably more what's on the line in that game is the practice squad than anything else. But there's only 3 games, so how do you handle it? And maybe maybe Flo doesn't know as much or have a feel for it because he's got 2 practices against teams. And what if the kid goes out there and balls out against those practices? Do you then want to put him out there even more during the preseason? Or maybe you want to be limited because you're comfortable with what you see already with Tua? Who knows? But Flo couldn't even give you a straight up answer on how he's handling the preseason. And I think that that's the case for a lot of coaches. So do we do it in game 2 or do we do it in game 3? And maybe it'll be up to the other coach you're playing against. So that week you call the coach, or maybe you call him a couple weeks ahead of time. Hey, coach, I'd like to play my guys, but I don't know how long you're going to play your guys. So let's see if maybe we're on the same page, and then they work it out. Kind of like what they do when the 2 teams practice, like you're going to see over the next couple of weeks for the Dolphins. When they're practicing against multiple teams for a couple of days, the coaches meet and they kind of have a plan of what they're going to do on each side. So that way everybody's kind of on the same page, because you really don't want your first teamers risking all of it against third teamers on the other side. That doesn't make any sense. Let's see. What do we have here? Tremolio says the dip will be at 19K this year. Are you talking about Bitcoin? That's not going to happen. There's no more. The dip's done. It's going back up again now. It's not going to 19K. That's the people that thought it was going to go to 20 or lower. It's not going to go there. It's not going to happen. So, no, I completely disagree with you there, Tremolio. Okay? We are done with the correction. Now it's there's less Bitcoin and less Ethereum in the crypto markets, in the crypto exchanges. Okay? And Ethereum just kicked in now. EPPI 1551 kicked in yesterday on the 4th, which now they will now produce more transactions at a cheaper rate. So they'll have more transactions on the blockchain. They will also be burning Ethereum on each transaction. So Ethereum now will become deflationary. And they're going now from proof of work to proof of stake, which the miners now will be paid less. So everything about Ethereum and their game plan is completely changing. And that's why you're watching it climb, and it's going to soar now. And Bitcoin, by the way, is also adding a second layer to their blockchain. They've got businesses they're building now on their blockchain. Actually, Bitcoin's making some improvements. They're going to have their first improvement, their first upgrade, I think since like 6 or 8 years or something like that, or 4 years. I think it's 4 years the last time they had an upgrade. So Tremolio, I completely disagree with you if you think Bitcoin was going to drop to 19.5. There's no more dropping anymore. This is the next climb. The next time it'll dip, it won't even come to these numbers anymore. It'll be in the high 40s, low 50s. That'll be your bargain. So those that took advantage at 28 or 30, you did great in getting back into Bitcoin at that point. So, he says, see the technical charts, the head and shoulders pattern. I follow it, dude. I follow crypto. Okay. I am completely into it. I think I know a little bit more about it right now, and I don't think it's going to be going down anymore at this point. And the head and shoulders stuff, that doesn't always work, and it's a different, you can't go by prior patterns because the market is evolving. See, the stock market's been the same for decades now. This is only 12 years, and you have more Bitcoin holders now than you've ever had. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you know that 60% of the Bitcoin never moved in this dip. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you don't know that 70% of Cardano is staked. I don't know if you don't know that. I don't know if you don't know that Bitcoin there's less Bitcoin than ever available now on the exchanges, which again becomes the value. There's less Ethereum on the exchanges than there's ever been. Again, you got to follow it. And do you follow it? Do you buy it? That's the thing. Okay. There we go. I'm waiting. Michelle's waiting to connect now, and she just called me. But I can't do it on the cell phone. So I'm waiting for her to connect there on the email link, and we will get her connected up and have some fun. So Tremolo, you and I are going to differ completely on the crypto market right now and what's going on overall. You'll see. It's going to go up in a big time way. Sad to see X take the same path as Rashad Jones. Great player, but a me-first attitude never works long-term. We've seen this before. Fins up. It is what it is. What can I tell you? Boy, I do miss Jose Fernandez. Great talent. Lost too soon. Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible. Big O, love that you honor Jose Fernandez behind you. Yeah, we got our Jose Fernandez. And I don't take it out of the box. I actually leave it in there, too. I took it out once just to see it, but I left it inside the box the entire time. I do have a Dontrell Willis over there, but I don't put it here. I leave it over there. It's over on the other side of the studio. But yeah, I mean, listen, man, it's sad. The kid, unfortunately, it's funny because I think when we're all growing up, at least for guys, we have our crazy moments. We do some things that sometimes, I'm 54. I can look back at 40 years ago and 35 years ago and say, oh my God, I survived this. I did this. And but then sometimes you do some things that are really out there. And unfortunately, the kid lived on an edge that a lot of us don't go to that far. You know what I'm saying? Cocaine and boating in the dark and drunk. And unfortunately, he made some of the wrong decisions and it cost him, his life and two other men. And that's the other thing we kind of forget, that there are two other families that got destroyed that night too. And so you feel bad for all of them. You know what I mean? But, Jose, as talented as he was, you just wish he could have made better decisions off the field, and he would still he'd be here, probably not pitching for the Marlins, but he would still be here. He'd be probably pitching for the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers or the Cubs. It's probably where he was headed because that's what they would have to pay him in order to get, there. I am trying to get in contact with Michelle. Let's see and hopefully we can get Michelle Kaufman on from the Miami Herald and talk a little Inter Miami. Folks, don't forget to smash the hell out of that like button, please. Okay? Smash that like button. It is very important for you to smash that like button. Let's see. What else do we have here on there? Big O. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there we go. We are ready to rock and roll. We are going to talk a little Inter Miami football. Michelle Kaufman is kind enough now to join us. There she is. You can follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports and catch her work there on a daily basis. I have not checked the Herald. You said you were putting together a story. Is there any breaking news we should know about?
Oh, well, I just posted a story like minutes ago, which is why I was late. Today is the MLS summer transfer window deadline at 8 p.m. tonight. So any moves that they want to make this summer during this transfer window has to be done by 8 o'clock tonight. And Inter Miami definitely is, if they can, only if they can make a deal that's going to better their roster and also get them some money, because they faced some very stiff sanctions with the Matuidi mess and the other 4 players that were involved. So they're not only being fined $2 million, but they're also losing $2.2 million in allocation money the next 2 seasons. So that's money that teams use to build their roster. So they're going to be at a disadvantage of $2.2 million over the next 2 seasons, in addition to the $2 million fine that the club was given. So in order to try to compensate for that, make up for that, if they could sell off a higher priced player and, get some money for that player, get maybe 1 or 2 players that don't cost as much, but also in the deal is money that they could then use, allocation money for next season, that would help them. So the player that has been mentioned the most that has drawn some interest from other clubs is LGP, Leandro Gonzalez Perez, who's obviously in this kind of case, they would be losing one of their better players, because the players that have value are obviously the players who are generally the best players. That makes sense. So if they're going to make a deal, it probably is going to be for a starter, for a good player, because that's who the other teams are interested in. And LGP is one who has drawn some interest from other teams. He makes his guaranteed compensation for this season is $1.01 million. So $1 million, a $1 million player. So that's a high priced player. And if they were to lose him, they would, get money. They would get another player, maybe who's a lesser, less expensive player. They have, they signed Ventura Alvarado, who plays in that same position. And they have Christian McCoon. They played last night without LGP. Obviously, LGP is a very good player, and it's not that they don't like him or whatever, but he's a valuable player who may be able to, it may make sense to unload him for the future of the club.
There's no doubt that makes sense. The only part that I don't know, is a team going to be willing to help them create cap space? I doubt that. They know they're desperate. They know that Miami has put themselves in a really brutal position. I just don't see them being able to make a favorable move. I see the other teams trying to make it favorable for themselves.
Trying to take advantage. Other teams are trying to take advantage and say, hey, they're desperate. We're gonna benefit, and they're gonna take whatever deal they can get because they're desperate. But this is where the club has to just trust Chris Henderson. Chris Henderson is one of the most respected, general manager, sporting director, whatever title you want to use. He's very, very experienced in dealing with these things. He has good relations with, with other people in the league. And, I don't think he will be taken advantage of. If there isn't a deal that makes sense they're not going to do a deal. They're not going to do a deal just to do a deal to get a couple $1,000s. They're not going to do that. They're only going to do a deal if it really makes sense for them. So if it doesn't make sense, they will go on as they are and deal with this stuff later.
Yeah, well, as I've watched over the first 2 years, whatever deal they think makes sense doesn't ever really make sense.
It doesn't always make sense, right?
No. So what the hell do they do with Pizarro and Matuidi? That's really what I want to know, because you're wasting 2 DP spaces right there, and they're paying Pizarro so much. Mexican clubs are struggling financially, so I don't even know what Mexican club is really going to take him on. And then Matuidi's another guy that he would have never gotten that money in the open market that he got from Miami. So is there a chance that they swallow these salaries? Because I know Jorge has lost a lot of money in all of this going on, and I'm sure he would be very pissed if he has to swallow those salaries in order to get rid of those guys. So how do you dump that extra weight?
I don't know. I mean, I think Pizarro, the fact that he's on the Mexican national team, he played, he got to play significant minutes in the Gold Cup. I think he still has value. I think he still has value, especially in Mexico. I think he's still well thought of there, and maybe there's a club that they could trade him to there. I mean, that would make sense. They've obviously proven that they can play without him, even though they he brings certain things, but they've proven that they can play without him and win. They won the other day without him there. So yeah, that one would make sense. Matuidi, I don't know what you do with Matuidi. I mean, he's the second highest paid player on the team, and just isn't the kind of game changer that you would think you would get for that kind of money. I agree with you on that.
All right, and I read in The Athletic, which you can tell us if it's true or not. Robbie looks like he's off the table. They're not there, because I'm sure that's the guy that a lot of people are going to inquire about, because he's so young and talented, and he's still scratching the surface.
Right.
And, I mean, yesterday's play was amazing that the defender got a header on it, but that no one on that team can do what Robbie can do. So tell me they're not trading that kid.
Right. No, they're not going to trade him. They consider him extremely valuable. And as it mentioned in there, he's a generation Adidas player. So, for complicated reasons, his salary doesn't count as much against the cap and whatever. So, no, I don't see Robbie Robinson going anywhere. I think the guys we're talking about, Gonzalo and LGP, that type of player is who I think those are kind of higher priced players that are expendable, that they could win without. And I think the fact that they signed Ventura Alvarado, from the Mexican League, a guy who plays a lot like Figal, they said. So now apparently he got injured, but it's not a major injury, and he's supposed to be back, I think, for Sunday. So we haven't seen him play yet, but he's supposed to be a pretty good player who was playing in Mexico and could fill in as a center back. So anyway, yeah.
All right. Last night, a tie, a draw on the road.
They're on a 3-game unbeaten streak. They're on a 3-game unbeaten streak out of being beaten 6 games in a row. So that's a start. That's a start.
Can't complain. So what do you see different right now? Because I heard the coach, and I hard to argue with them. We're seeing at least more of a team playing together. At least they have their limitations. We can see it. We know that offensively they're not a potent team whatsoever.
Right.
So they've got to keep everything tight, but they're willing to play pretty good defense at least.
Yeah, last night he went with 3 holding midfielders. They had played with Federico Igbinoghene, who's much more of a playmaker, an attacking player, always looking forward. Last night he took a different approach because Orlando City, I know that they respected their attack a lot, and with Nani in there and Mueller and those guys and Pereira and whatever, those are players who, if you give them space in the middle, they're going to find space and they're going to kill you. So his goal last night was to basically clog up the middle, close up all the lanes in the center of the field, And so he played, Victor Ulloa, who continues to quietly be one of the most consistent players on the team. And he ends up, serving the delivery for the cross for the goal to Kieran Gibbs. So, he went with Matuidi and Gregory and Victor Ulloa, who are three more defensive-minded midfielders as opposed to attackers. And then he said he also wanted Lewis Morgan and Robbie to play more in the middle also, as opposed to too far outside, so that the middle of the field, they closed a lot of spaces and kind of suffocated Orlando from being able to move around as much as they like to move around. And that strategy definitely worked against that team. That definitely worked. They played well together, and really up until, the first 30 minutes, they were doing it exceptionally. Toward the end of the first half, as we saw, they let their guard down a little, started doing some of the stuff, that giving them a little too much room. And when you give them a little too much room, Orlando can be a very good team. So they ended up giving that goal in stoppage time of right before halftime, which the one thing I will say that shows evolution of this team is that earlier in the season and even last year, when that would happen, that's very deflating. You basically dominate a half, and then right before the whistle, the other team scores, and it's like, wah, wah, you're going into halftime, and the other team just scored. They have the momentum. That can really deflate a team coming out for the second half, but they didn't. They came out and they kept their composure and, ended up being rewarded for it with that goal from the unlikeliest Kieran Gibbs, a guy who's only scored 12 goals in his entire career. I just looked it up.
It was a beautiful, by the way, it was a beautiful header.
It was.
It might have been I don't know how his other 11 goals or 12 goals of his career, but I doubt many were nicer than that one, because that was
a really, really nice goal. He really just took that long pass and twisted as the thing went spinning in, and but that's only the 12th goal of his entire career, so that's not really his forte. But other thing that
listen, I was talking about this the other day, that in these 3 games something also has happened for them. The balls bounced their way. You know what I mean? Last night for Robbie it didn't, but overall, why they're unbeaten in these 3 games, it's not because they've been so much better than their opponent and explosive offensively or anything like that, but they've had a couple of breaks along the way. And we got to be honest, early in the season, they had a bunch of bad breaks too. You know what I mean? So it's kind of nice to see them get some of the breaks go their way. And
last night Orlando scored what looked like the game-winning goal, and it was called back for offside.
Right. That's right.
That was kind of a stroke of good luck that they didn't have any good luck much of last season or the beginning of this season. So, it just seems like it seems like things are just more positive over these last 3 games. Obviously, things were really, really down. A lot of heavy criticism of everybody on the team and Phil Neville and the ownership.
All well deserved.
Right.
Every bit of criticism is well deserved. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But you know what? Like I've said this before. I talked about this. Stephen Ross screwed up a whole bunch early on in his Dolphin tenure. And then it looks like now he figured it out with Greer and Flo. It looks like they're finally headed in the right direction. Viola and Sifu, they took over, and as much as we thought of Dale Talon and what he did in Chicago, he was here for 10 years, and 7 of them were under these guys. Right. And we were all waiting for that Dale Talon from Chicago to show up, and it just never really happened. And finally, they made the tough decision of finally getting rid of the guy and the Bobrovsky stuff and all that. And they've made their mistakes, and now it looks like they finally found the right GM now that is making the right moves for them. Jorge Mas is no different than any of these 2 guys or any owner of a new business. When
Jorge
you start
has never been in sports. Yeah, he's never been a sports owner. And
exactly.
It's very different from owning Mas Tech he's very good at that. But from owning that to owning a sports team, that's a completely different animal. And new owners, I think they come in a little bit, I would say, both arrogant and naive.
And Beckham too, by the way, Beckham too, because it's his coach that's on the pitch right now. Matuidi is his guy, so he's had his own influences and he's helped screw things up here. also. So it's not just Jorge, it's not just Beckham, but they're both new. One was a player, the other guy runs Moss Tech, but neither guy has run a soccer team before, just like Ross and just like Viola and Sifu, and just like any new business. When you start a new business, you are going to make mistakes. That's normal. And I think that's what Jorge's going through right now. He's going through the process of learning how to do this the right way. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a completely different thing to own a sports team. And I think a lot of business people who are successful, they just think, I'm a successful business person, so give me a business and I'll make it a success. And that's not how it works. You have to learn the business first and then you own it. So this is kind of backwards. You own a team and then you learn the business. It's different from how most people go into businesses. They usually know something about the business that they're going into, but if they don't, there's definitely a learning curve. So
and you and I have a luxury that most people don't, Michelle. We've been around Stephen Ross, we've been around Viola and Sifu, we've been around Moss. They want to win as badly as Mickey Harrison. Mickey was just fortunate that he made his first decision was the greatest decision anyone could ever make. Pat Riley, and it fell all into place for him. These guys couldn't find their Pat Riley. Joe Robbie had George Wilson until he got Shula, and then it took off for him. And so that's all we're going through. And we've been around these three groups. They want to win as badly as Mickey Harrison. They just need to figure it out. That's all it is. It's not a lack of commitment. With the Marlins, we can still question their commitment. We can still question we can't question Jorge Moss's commitment. We can't question Viola and Sifu or Stephen Ross. Those three have proven that they'll spend
money. They will open that checkbook and write checks.
Yeah. So they just got to figure it out. And that's, to me, what Moss has got to do now. And maybe he screwed up the first time, right? They hired McDonough instead of Chris Henderson.
Right.
But luckily, Henderson was still around for them to then get him back on the second go around. Maybe we're in a different place right now if Chris Henderson's the guy from day one.
Well, you look at Seattle. I mean, this league, one of the things is, which Alexi Lalas mentioned in the story that I had, last week, and that Phil Neville has mentioned too, MLS there's a lot of parity in this league. They manufacture parity in this league. And in doing so, Phil Neville has said this may not be the best league in the world, but it may be the hardest to win. Because one of the things that Alexi agreed with that statement, because the thing is, when all the teams are basically not that different, the difference between the number 1 team and the number 27 team is not
like Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga is what you're saying? Something like
what
that?
I'm saying is, like in Europe, there are most of the leagues in Europe, the top leagues, you've got your top few powerhouse teams, and then there's everybody else. And so one of the things Alexi said about the foreign players who come here, including Matuidi and Igbinoghene, who both came from Juventus, they both came from an Italian powerhouse team where basically during the season, 3 or 4 games, they were going to face a really, really tough opponent, 3 or 4 opponents. The rest of the time, they didn't have to work quite as hard because they know we are better talent-wise than that team. We're better talent-wise than that team. We're better than that team. When you come to MLS, and you can see Miami is the 27th ranked team, really, out of 27 teams in the league. They're last. And yet, in the last 3 games, they've been toe-to-toe with 3 of the top teams. So that means the difference really between the top team and the bottom team is not really that big in MLS. There are only a few exceptions, like Seattle is consistently a winner in this league. And New England, to be consistently a winner in a league like this where everybody's kind of the same in many ways, that takes a really special management, coaching, and everything. And so Seattle has that. Seattle has managed, even in a league where there is a lot of parity, they've managed to be near the top or at the top just about every season. And that is where Chris Henderson came from. So he knows what they're doing in Seattle. He knows how they got to where they are. And, I think he's trying to employ those same things here. But the truth is this league is again, not the best players in the world are playing in this league, but the fact that the difference between top and bottom is not very big makes it a very difficult league to win.
Yeah, no. And Henderson inherited a mess, which will make his job that much harder to get out of this entire thing. All right, Michelle, as always, I appreciate you. You tell them to hold on a minute.
It was a junk call. I just saw it was a junk call, so I hung up on the. No offense to the police society of whatever, but I love the police and everything, but I'm not answering their phone call. So
I got you. I never answer either because they're usually chasing me. But anyway, we will catch up again. Let's see if the boys can get it done Sunday against Nashville.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. Nashville, by the way, apparently they rested 6 or 7 starters last night. So they are going to be fresh. Miami's going to be coming a third game in 8 games. So we'll see. But he sat last night. Gonzalo went out in the around 60-something minute. Robbie Robinson also went out. He's okay. Apparently, he bumped his head or his neck or something, but they said they didn't think that it was anything. He is supposed to be back on Sunday. So, we'll see. It's going to be back at home. And but that'll be another tough game.
I'm with you. Follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. More importantly, catch her exceptional work there at the Miami Herald website. Michelle, as always, you are awesome. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. There you go. The great Michelle Kaufman. You got to love it. Appreciate her always joining us here on the program, talking a little Inter Miami. Always love talking a little Inter Miami. And George will figure it out, dude. I'm telling you. They just, unfortunately, they've screwed up a lot. And they'll figure it out. But they're not going to be very good next year and the year after. That's the sad part. That you start the team and your first 4 years, you're probably set for mediocrity. That's not how you sell soccer in this town. Oh, God. That's going to be really, really tough because they have zero room for improvement next year. Unless George just wants to swallow money and he just gets rid of Pizarro and gets rid of Matuidi and then goes out and buys 2 more DPs and goes get some, 2 badasses, but then he's paying the salary of the guys he let go, and then the new guys. And, it's easy for us to say, oh, no, keep writing the check. And the guy still has to build the stadium that they need in Miami. Once everything gets approved in the Mel Reese Golf Course area and they start to build that'll be 2 stadiums that the guys built. That's crazy stuff. Nobody's ever done that. That's why I keep telling you, he's the right owner. He's just like Stephen Ross and like Violent Sifu. They make some mistakes early on while they're trying to figure this thing out, and then once they do, they'll take off and they'll get it done. I'm not concerned about it, but the bottom line is, they are really, really bad right now. That's the only way to look at it, man. All right, if you want to get in, it's really simple. You can chime in on the YouTube chat board right there, which is always a beautiful thing. And you can reach out to us on email, Big O Radio Show, Twitter, Big O Show. And, of course, another way to support the program, Cash App and Venmo, Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. So we thank Ruthie Polinski and Michelle Kaufman for joining us. Troy Ortiz says, who's in worse shape, Inter or the Marlins? Oh, Inter. Inter's in worse shape. The Marlins are in great shape. The problem with the Marlins is we don't know if they'll spend. That's the problem. They're loading up on pitching. They've got a bunch of young players. They've got a bunch of them in the minors. So they've got trading pieces if they need to, but they also have a ton of cap space that they can go out and sign some legitimate free agents that could help out some of these young guys and help bring them along. So the Marlins aren't in bad shape. What the Marlins are, they're kind of in neutral. That's it. The Inter's like in reverse. Okay? The Heat, the Panthers, they're in drive mode. Okay, Dolphins, they're in drive mode. They're going forward. They're making progress, all that kind of stuff. But Inter Miami's in reverse right now. They're in bad shape because if they're not willing to swallow salaries, then this is going to be a problem for them. Because that means they're going to suck for a while. Because they suck right now and they sucked last year. So, I don't expect you to get better next year. So unless you're willing to swallow the salaries of Pizarro and Matuidi, I don't know how you get better. And the Marlins are just stuck in neutral. They have the potential of getting in drive. They're not going backwards. They are still they're in neutral and like on a little bit of a hill. And so they're it's not a steep hill. It's like a really lightly steeped hill, like not super steep, just a couple degrees. So the car is rolling forward like at 2 miles an hour or 3. You know what I'm saying? You don't even have to touch the brake or anything because it's rolling nice and slow. So it's it's in neutral but gliding slowly. No drive. Because they are gaining some young players. They've got a clean cap. You know what I mean? They just have to now spend the money. And they don't have the kind of young stars that are developing to the point that now they're at arbitration eligible or past that you got to, give them a contract and keep them there. That's not who those guys are. So they have to really actually, they have to prove to us that they want to win. And that's the one thing left for the Marlins. They've done a really nice job of cleaning out their cap, getting rid of all the bad salaries finally. They've done a really nice job of drafting a boatload of pitchers. That's really smart because if you develop enough of them, you don't have to use them all, but you can use some of them as trade pieces to bring back really good bats in return. So they have all those kind of elements in place, but they got to show us money. So it's really Inter right now is the pro team that's in the worst shape in South Florida. Okay. Now they could easily surpass Miami Marlins. They just got to spend over the next couple of years and get rid of the guys that they do have. So there you go. That's my answer. Inter Miami is in worse shape than the Miami Marlins. All right. What else do I have here that I wanted to talk about? We talked a little bit about the Oladipo move. We talked Russell Wilson. We talked. I thought, you know what I thought was really cool? The fact that Tom Brady is going to go to the induction ceremony for Peyton Manning in the Hall of Fame. The two have developed a friendship through the rivalry that they had in the AFC for many, many years. And I know you're going to say, well, was it really much of a rivalry? Brady got the best of them. And it's true, but he did win a couple and then was able to win, a couple Super Bowls too in the process. So you still got to give Peyton some credit for that. But I think it's so cool that the greatest quarterback of all time and another one of the great quarterbacks of all time in Peyton Manning, here are two guys that have a great relationship overall and the kind of respect that Brady is going to go there to support a friend, and the fact that they can put their egos aside, especially Peyton Manning, because the other guy got the best of you. You know what I mean? But he had the better team. He had the better coach. He had, the better situation. And maybe he is the better player too. But still, I like the fact that they can rise above the competition and support each other in these kind of moments. I think that's actually pretty cool, man. As I told Ruthie Polinski, I like this Tom Brady. Okay, I'm not going to root for him against the Dolphins. No, I want the Dolphins to sack his ass 47 times in a game. Okay? I got no problem with that. There was nothing sweeter than watching the Dolphins 2 years ago with that team walk into Foxborough in Week 17 and take the living crap out of those guys. and forced them to play in the bye week and end. That was the beginning of the end of the dynasty. So very few victories in the last 20 years have been sweeter than the one from 2 years ago in New England, okay? Very few, because the Dolphins haven't had a lot of great wins. That was one of them. And I give the Dolphins a lot of credit for that. That was a lot of fun. So trust me, I'm not rooting for Brady, but I got to admit, this guy's fun to watch. This guy, I like this guy. I do. I like this guy right here that we watch. He's cool. He's cool. So I thought that was a cool thing. Honus Wagner. We're talking about the Mac Daddy of all baseball cards is going to go up for auction. And the crazy thing is they're expecting over $6 million here. The 1909 Honus Wagner baseball card, arguably, it says the most coveted sports card to ever exist, is up for auction, expected to go over $6 million. Bidding for the super rare T206 card, about only 50 to 60 are known to exist, starts at $1 million. Now, the experts at Robert Edwards Auctions, who are selling the Wagner, tell TMZ Sports they predict it'll shatter that price. In fact, we're told REA believes the collectible has a chance to topple the 52 Mickey Mantle rookie card, which sold for $5.2 million this year. Wagner was an 8-time National League batting champion and is a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, but it isn't only the reason to call the card valuable. Honus reportedly despised the card because it was made by a cigarette company. The American Tobacco Company, ATC, only made a handful of cards, creating a huge demand. This is an exciting time in our field, and I believe that the timing is right for this card to become the most valuable card ever sold at a public auction. This is the Mona Lisa of baseball cards. It's a statement piece of epic proportions. Robert Edwards tells TMZ, bidding on the card will end August 15th. The only question is, who exceeds the $5.2 million? It's got to be nice to have that kind of money, right? Because if you can spend that kind of money on a card, then that means you've got $500 million in the bank, right? I don't expect you to have only 50 or 100 million and you're going to spend $5 on a card, $6 million on a card. I think that would be catastrophically stupid. But man, it is crazy, the card business nowadays. Wow. I gotta start selling my cards. I do have some cards, but man, wow, that is impressive, dude. $6 million. Are you kidding me? Wow. All right. We are going to wrap it up here on the show. We appreciate all of you, as always, for keeping it locked here and supporting us. Tomorrow, we are loaded. All right. We've got Omar Kelly at 10:30. We've got Ira Winderman at 11:30. And we've got Manny Navarro at 12:30. So you will get your Dolphins, your Heat, and your Canes fix by some of the best in the business tomorrow on this program exclusively. And looking forward to talking to those gentlemen. So I appreciate all of you out there for keeping it locked. Please smash that like button if you're listening to the podcast. Subscribe, share the link. Don't forget Cash App and Venmo. Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. I love you all. I will, damn, I got the hiccups now. I will see you all tomorrow. Same time, same place, same bat channel.